Oh. Truth, justice, in the Big Sills way. Welcome aboard. What a big NFL night. What a huge NFL night. Green Bay, Detroit tonight. This is a NFC home field advantage game between the Packers and the Lions tonight. We welcome you aboard. Please hit the like button. All supers go to the top. We always start the program out with big sales, and we appreciate our friends at BetUS. They power us for the next 4 hours. Hit the like button. First 15 minutes are the most important part of the show. That's when we get to spread the word of the show. And again, I told you this yesterday, guys. This is all about you. Okay? You have officially made this show one of the most watched shows in Philly and across the country, and we can't thank you enough. Super chats go to the top. We appreciate it. It's a big game tonight. If you're the Eagles, really, if you look at Green Bay and you look at tonight Detroit, both these teams, they have a tough ending to the season.
I think we got a frozen Sills, everybody. Let me reconnect him and see if I can get him back up here. We got a frozen Sileo. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if you can see Big Z. Yeah, Cileo's frozen. I don't know what happened to him. I'll wait for him to get back. I don't know. We got Bob Lang checking in. Maybe Howie Roseman knows what Cileo's take is going to be today. Maybe it's Rhonda. Is it Rhonda? Are you out there? I don't know what happened to Big Sills. This is his first internet drop in his new setup. We will see what the heck is going on. Let me shoot him a text real quick. Up here he is. There he is. There he is.
Hey, I don't know what. Hey, I don't know. All I know is that maybe the Eagles are trying to sabotage the show. I don't know.
They might be. I'll catch you at 3:30. All right, brother.
You got it. That is our friend Xander. So absolutely have no idea. Welcome aboard again. We'll try to reset this bad puppy here. We appreciate everybody coming aboard. Again, a big night tonight in the National Football League, because if you're the Eagles, you're sitting back and you're watching home field advantage. The second team is going to be fighting it out with the Philadelphia Eagles and who gets home field advantage. Big game tonight. You Eagle fans, you sit back. You got Carolina this weekend. Dude, that is not a trap game. It's not a trap game. The Eagles are playing too good of football right now to let that thing be a trap game. You know, that's just media talk. Those guys are going to go in there and take care of business. They can play a D performance, okay, and go in there and kick the shit out of that team. Carolina really doesn't have anything. They are playing better. We'll talk more about that. I got to start the program out by doing this. I completely disagree with Xander and with John McMullen about Saquon Barkley. So on Twitter, you say Q isn't a lockdown corner. We're going to get to that here in a minute, Nick. I programmed the show, Nick. Sit back and listen and have a good time. We appreciate you being here. You can't be a lockdown corner, Nick, playing zone. There's no such thing as a lockdown corner when you're 10 yards off the ball. That's not a lockdown corner. We're going to get to that. But I completely disagree with Xander and with John McMullen on the record. I agree more with Brian Westbrook, who was on the program yesterday. And he said this: if you're close to that record, you line everybody up and you go get it. Here's why. Saquon Barkley right now is 77th in rushing in all-time NFL history. That guy's got no shot at making it the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He has no shot. There's backs ahead of him. LaShawn McCoy's got 11,000 rushing yards. He's not a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Eddie George has got 11,000 rushing yards. Marshawn Lynch may be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Maybe. because he's got a world championship. That may be why he gets in. But a guy who's right now, think about it, he has to average, 1,300 yards the next couple of years just to get to 10,000. He's got no shot at making the Pro Football Hall of Fame. His years were wasted in New York. I'm not saying he doesn't have Pro Football Hall of Fame talent, but his years were wasted. They were wasted in New York. He's not making it. I know the folks that make it. Edgerrin James made it. Why? Edgerrin James has 12,000 rushing yards. Barkley's not getting near that. He would have to rush for another 6,000 yards, and he's already 27. It is not happening. Now, you put a Super Bowl behind it in the all-time leading single-season rushing mark. Now you're talking something different. NFL history, you're talking something different here. Also, that's not just going to be an award and an achievement for Barkley. The 5 guys who blocked for him, Howie Roseman who signed him and recruited him, the organization itself, Barkley getting a chance to say fuck you to the Giants, all of that. It's NFL history. We're not talking about the all-time rushing number for a game for the Eagles in history. Nobody cares about that. But when you're the all-time leading rusher in a single season records, how many people think that the home run record in baseball matters? You think that number matters? Does anybody know exactly what the all-time rushing number is for Emmitt Smith? No. But I know 2105. I know 762. Okay? Barry Bonds' all-time home run number. I know 72. I know that. I know 100 points. There's significant records that people have that are legendary. This is a legendary number. 2105 is legendary. How many people really even know what the all-time passing number is for quarterbacks? It changes every year. People are going to go right. They're going to go by Brady too. Saying to you, man, this is a chance at history. And I agree with Brian Westbrook. If you're 150 yards and you're there at the end of the game, I'm lining everybody up because that's a franchise achievement. That's not just going to be an achievement for Saquon Barkley. That's the guys blocking for him. That's even for Jalen Hurts in the offense and Kellen Moore. You don't think Kellen Moore would like to have this on his resume? 2 number 1 offensive attacks that he had in Dallas, and then he had the all-time leading rusher on his resume. You don't think you'd like that? I know I would. I know I would. I want that number. Okay? We got a bunch of topics today. By the way, Mark Farzetta will join us at 4:30. We will talk to Mark. Do me a favor. Please hit that like button. We'll talk to Mark. He has no shot. As of right now, there's nothing on his resume that separates him on making the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There's nothing. No rushing titles, couple Pro Bowls. There's nothing that he has accomplished in his career, Saquon Barkley, that makes him a Hall of Famer. Nothing. There's no MVPs. There's no Super Bowl MVPs. There's no Super Bowl appearances. There's nothing there. Hey, by the way, look at Frank Gore. The only reason Frank Gore's getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame is why? Frank Gore's getting into the Hall of Fame because of longevity and the numbers he put up. Okay? He'll never hit. Hey, wait a minute. Dave says he'll hit 12K. We'll see. He's 27 years old. Okay? He's 27 years old. And you think he's going to continue the pace? We'll see. He's a running back with a lot of tread on the tires, having a great year. The O-line is without a doubt having a spectacular season. But he hasn't been a longevity player. He's been injured 3 or 4 times in his career. We'll see what happens. The chances of him getting to 12,000, less than 10%. And like I said, there is nothing on his resume That's special. This is the special year. This is going to make voters look up and go, hey, man, he does have 2105. He did get to a Super Bowl. They did win it. And he's the all-time leading single-season rushing leader. That's going to make – that's right now he has nothing on that resume. Nothing that separates him from Eddie George. Nothing that separates him from Marshawn Lynch or even a Fred Taylor. There's nothing. So something like this. Get this. Get this. Look at this. Well, okay, flexing. What's on his resume? What's on his resume that's special? Tell me. What's on his resume that's special? Hey, Sills, if this team plays to Hurts' strengths with the RPO, with the explosion of Barkley, why do you bring up the passing? Because in 22, we got to the Super Bowl. Stop doing that bullshit then in the first stop doing that shit in the first 25 plays. I mean, okay. All right, flexing. No. Again, this is why, by the way, I'm making a case for him to get the record. Look at you people in here going like this, man. Fucking people in here are suggesting that I'm sitting here talking shit on the guy, and I'm not. I said New York fucked his career up. Did you not hear that? He's got to make it up in the back end, and making it up in the back end. And someone go, well, that doesn't matter to him. So you don't think making it to the Pro Football Hall of Fame matters to Saquon Barkley? You wouldn't want that at the end of the day having a gold jacket. You're an asshole for anybody who thinks that. Of course you're playing for championships. But to sit there and suggest that you wouldn't want a gold jacket is asinine. There's only 321 members in that building. And there's been 32,000 people play the game in 105 years. Are you fucking nuts? That's less than 1% of the 1%ers that make it to that building, that don't have to buy a ticket. And no, hey, if I'm 140, I heard John say if he's 26 yards shy of it, you wouldn't do it. That's asinine. It's absolutely ridiculous. Anybody on the planet would go for that. Brian Westbrook, who was a legendary running back yesterday, said, I'm teeing everybody up and we're going to go get that bitch. We're going to go get it. Who do you believe? Reporters or Brian Westbrook? By the way, I'm just agreeing with Westbrook. Okay? I'll take the guy's word that rushed for the Eagles and one of the greatest of all time in Eagle history on what he would do. That's what I would do. And Barkley knows it. It's not just his award. It's the five guy. Hey, how would you like to be Cam Jurgens? How about this one? Cam Jurgens, in his first year starting as a Philadelphia Eagle, Stanner, taking over for Jason Kelsey. You break the all-time rushing record for a single season? You're not going to forget Jason Kelsey. But you know what you are going to say? Oh, I helped upgrade the O-line. I upgraded it. I mean, you imagine having that your first year starting at center. And you are on the team and the unit that broke the record. I'd want that all day. Okay. I heard another fabulous discussion. Okay. You know what? I'm going to wait before I get to that. Okay. Sills, play it out. 2105 should get him the MVP. It would get him the MVP. 2105 should get us to the Super Bowl. 2105 means he'll be featured in the Super Bowl. And if we win, he'll be the MVP. In one season, Bob, he could change that entire narrative about an MVP. Remember something. You're the single season all-time leading rusher. You get to the Super Bowl. You're the Super Bowl MVP. You win all of that. You get to 10, 11,000 yards. You're going to be in the conversation for a Hall of Fame. Right now, he's got nothing on his resume. I completely agree. Nothing. The only person holding Saquon back is a tush-push merchant. Jalen, hand him the ball and get out of the way. If he ends up with 16, 17 touchdowns and 2105, I mean, I'd like to know what Dickerson had that year and what Eric had the year that he went for 2105 in that Rams team. And Dickerson was special in those first 2 years. 1885, I think it was, like I said, and then he went for 2105 in his second season. So I would say, here it is. He went to 1808. He didn't win the MVP that year when he got 2105 and 14 touchdowns in 84. I believe Lawrence Taylor may have won that. He finished second in the most valuable player voting that season. He finished second that year in the most valuable player award. I don't know who won it in 84. I can't remember who won the most valuable player award that season. I don't remember in 84. It might have been Montana that won it that season. And by the way, he did that in 16 games for sure. So Brian, I don't know if the touchdown number is going to mean that much if he's still getting 6,000 yards or 6 yards a carry and he gets 2105. Okay. It's really a remarkable journey that he's on here. I'd love to see him get that number. All right. This may be for the older folks that watch the show. And Brian, I got this from you yesterday. How many people in here believe that Jalen Hurts receives the same amount of treatment and harsh treatment that Donovan McNabb received during his playing days in Philly? I personally, for me, it's not close. McNabb was villainized every year. He was constantly dogged by the Inquirer. Every year he was dogged. Every year. And that guy went to 5 straight NFC championships. 5 straight NFC titles. I know OJ did it in 14 games when he went 2,003 yards. Okay? McNabb took a lot of shit. Okay? How come Hurts gets a bye with even more talent? Who cares he was a dick? Who cares he was a dick? What's that got to do with it? Aaron Rodgers is a dick, but he wins. How come Hurts gets a bye and a pass for his incompetence playing the quarterback position? Not incompetence. His lack of productivity. 28th ranked passing offense. The rushing offense didn't need any help. It's been good for 14 years here. How come Jalen doesn't get the same heat that McNabb did? Oh, and by the way, Donovan McNabb's a better quarterback. But he's a better quarterback. And I'm not a McNabb guy. Sway Carter, Davis Williams, Smith, White, Golick, never. Gangrene, 1,000% gangrene. 10 times the defense. 10 times the defense. Hurts has a smoothing personality and shows no sensitivity to criticism. McNabb did, and the media pounced on it. So you're saying that he brought it on himself, Andrew. Is that what you're saying McNabb did? And Jalen kind of handled. Before I blow that off, Andrew, I'm not thinking you're not wrong. So you're saying, Andrew, that Hurts handles the media better. Hurts handles the media better than what McNabb did. Okay? Some of these dudes can't handle it when I go after the Messiah, but sorry, he's not improving. If he plays like a bum, I'm going to be on his bumper. Hurts wins. Get this. Hurts doesn't win as much as McNabb. McNabb went to 5 conference titles. Your guy's been to 1. Let's see him get to another one first. Hurts seems to make the play when needed. That matters to me. He does. Brady didn't have stats either till like Super Bowl 4. It was mostly defense and special teams. McNabb was a bum. Well, then what's Hurts? Lost in the biggest games. Your guy did too. Competition back then wasn't what it is now, though, Sills. No. The competition was better back then. The athletes are better today. And it's harder to win today because of free agency and the constant turnover. You can't keep players like you did in the past. That doesn't mean you have better teams today. It just means you can't keep your better players. Look at the Cowboys. They're constantly getting rid of players, and you have to make tough decisions sometimes with salary cap. You can't keep players around like you did. Like, you couldn't keep the Pittsburgh Steelers teams of the 70s around. You couldn't afford that team. Keeping Bradshaw, you keeping Mean Joe Green, you're keeping Lynn Swann, Stallworth, Lambert, Ham, Blunt. You're not keeping all those guys on one team today. Those guys would all be free agents going out to other teams. It's not that the teams are better today. They're not. There's better athletes today, but they're not better teams. Back then, you kept your guys together for a decade. Okay? I mean, the McNabb teams could stick around. And by the way, his wide receivers were garbage compared to what Hurts has. His backs were good. His tight ends were good. His O-lines were good, not like this, though. Okay? Not like this. Jalen, you know what, Andrew? You may be right on to something here. By the way, please hit the like button. Hey, you may be right, Andrew. Hurts deals with the media better. Hurts dealt with the media better than Wentz. Yeah. You could make the argument that Donovan McNabb was just a better version of Wentz. Right? Not very good in public. Not very good in the locker room. How many teammates have shit on McNabb for the kind of player he was? Or I should say the personality he was. Right? McNabb's not the grandest of grand when it comes to personalities. He's a lot like Randall. Right? So there could be something to that. The PR department better. Howie Roseman and the entire PR department protects Jalen because criticism of Hurts is criticism of Howie. Bob Lang ain't having the Eagles control the press now and the key fobs. True. There's a lot to that also. Anytime you're criticized, like I told you, they wouldn't put Nick Sirianni on this program because I criticized Howie. That's why that coach can't come on. I was given his cell phone number. He had agreed to it. Bob called me. I sent the text messages to Xander Krause. If you want to confirm him with Xander, he'll tell you. They didn't put him on because I criticized Howie. That's the reason he's not on. Okay? Is because I criticized Howie. What does that tell you? Anybody who criticizes the organization, you're a black sheep to them. And they'll do everything in their power to try to stop you. It's what it is. So to your point of controlling the media, they do try to do that. Okay? They do. So, Sills, McNabb put himself in the line of fire. Hurts doesn't speak, so he doesn't feed the beast. I think he learned that possibly from Nick Saban, the rat poison. Sills, when I saw Hurts run the RPO on the Ravens, There's nothing better. I said it. I thought he was brilliant. Unfortunately, Hurts in the offense only plays 2 quarters. If they play 4 quarters of one game, can you imagine how that thing would look? Yeah, no. I've been a proponent here. If you're going to give me 2022 Jalen Hurts, you're going to win a shitload of ball games. A shitload of ball games. But if you're going to turn around and go like this to me and try to pass the ball and you're going to be a passing team like you are in the first 15 to 25 plays, you're not going anywhere with that when it matters the most. Okay? Messiah, I'll get to tonight's game when we get out of our topics here. I watched them both. Jalen misses receivers because he's looking to run. Donovan chose not to because he didn't want to be classified as a black running quarterback. That's a shitty way, Amber, to conduct your career if that's true. I don't want to be perceived as a black quarterback. How about as a winning quarterback? Now, again, Amber, to your point, black quarterbacks still in the 90s, there was the stigma that they're athletic and not cerebral. You're right. I'm not ripping you, Amber. There was a different mentality. They never start with a black quarterback is smart. I think Jalen Hurts is exceptionally brilliant. I think Lamar Jackson is. I think he's reckless, though. I think there's so many. I mean, you should always start with how smart a quarterback is, white or black. But with black quarterbacks in the 90s, they started with, well, he's athletic. That's code for black. And I always had an offense to that. Everyone thought T.O. was the villain. T.O. was just an asshole. McNabb wanted Westbrook over T.O. If McNabb wasn't prideful, Philly would have had at least 3 more Super Bowls, 5, 8, and 9, possibly. Yes, I think he was a shitty teammate. I think that's where McNabb differs. His teammates like him too. Whereas I don't think everybody on that Eagle team back in the day with McNabb, I don't believe was a great teammate. First quarter points for the Eagles is 1.3 average. Second and third and fourth, Eagles are number 1 in scoring, 25 points a game. Why did they throw the ball then? Sills, yeah, he did. Okay. Jackson sounded weird on his post-game interview. He sounded buzzed. Brian Pabreke. Sills, look at how open Dotson was on AJ catches, and he forces it to AJ. The progression of the read were 5 to 10 yards deeper. I'm concerned about that. Iron Mike, he doesn't read defenses. He's not very good at it. He struggles with the simplest plays, like Greg Cosell says. He has not improved in that. Now, you run that RPO, and the way he looked, dude, honestly, when he ran the RPO, I went, holy shit, that looks great. Okay? That looks great. When he ran that, I was like, hey, man. And now they're running it at 22% in the games now. They, get this, 22% more than the next team in the league, they run them RPOs. Highest number of any team in the league. Great. Okay. That's a formula to win. Okay. You know, hey, you know what you're doing now? And you know what you're finding out? You know now exactly what Jalen Hurts is after 5 years of football. He's not going to get any better. This is what he is. He's going to continue to improve in his football IQ, but his skill set's limited. Now, what here? Joe Burrow's skill set is limited in movement and motion plays. He can't get out in the open. Are you going to really risk that guy getting out in the open and have that guy out in the perimeter? No. He's limited. Every quarterback has a limit. Some guys don't like going right. Some guys don't like going left. Some guys like intermediate passes. Some guys don't like to throw deep. Some guys throw deep and don't throw well underneath and can't read defenses as well as others. Some guys can read defenses 10 times better than anybody else. Some guys like Mahomes are just savants and they're just gifted and can do anything with both hands. Everybody has a skill set and everyone has a deficiency. Nobody's perfect. Brady is the closest thing I've seen. Get this. Was he the quarterback that Montana was? Absolutely not. What made Joe great? His motion and movement. Getting back in the pocket. Getting out in the perimeter. Remember the catch back in the back of the end zone to Dwight Clark? He was rolling right. Why was he rolling right? Because Bill Walsh only had him roll to one side of the field early part of his career because he's in development. He developed them. Bill came on my program on KNBR and told me that numerous times. He would never have him drop 6-7 yards back and then scan the field early in his career because he couldn't do it. Joe rolled right because he was so athletic. And what happened? After Jim Burt severed his chest plate, then he got hit by Leonard Marshall. He stopped doing that. He was a drop back guy because of injuries. He was limited because of the injury. Nobody's perfect. Hurts throws a great deep pass. That doesn't win Super Bowls. Deep passers don't. It's the dumbest comment that people make about him. Hey, he throws a nice deep pass. So what? So did Vic. Vic didn't win shit. Throwing deep passes? Tom Brady didn't win a Super Bowl throwing deep passes to Randy Moss. You can't win a Super Bowl with Randy Moss, but you can win them with Edelman and Amendola and Wes Welker? Doesn't seem right, right? Well, because they're intermediate pass guys. They're not deep threat guys. It's a quarterback reading defenses. That's his skill set. Could Brady run, move? No. That's a deficiency. They tailored that offense to his skill set. Now, when you're doing that with Hurts and them RPOs, I'm aboard with that. I'm absolutely aboard. See, the difference between the 22 RPO and the 24 RPOs is that Hurts is not the primary runner this year. He's not. No, and Bob, would you not only agree with this, Bob, that the reason that you're getting single coverage in them slant passes is because of Barkley and because the defense fears that Hurts will take off? Because here's the thing you got to remember. In them RPOs, you're going to get single coverage on them slant passes. How many times you watch games and you look at it and you go, why are they fucking single covering A.J. Brown? They have to, because of the dual threat running that they have in the backfield with Hurts and with Barkley. That's a nightmare because the number one objective is not to stop the slant. That's the number two objective, is to stop the slant. The number one objective is to stop the run game. You can't stop the run game. You can't win a ball game. Dude, guys can run slants all day and you lose. Run all day, you lose. You just can't. Dude, there is nothing more devastating than a dominant running attack. How many passing quarterbacks have you seen over the years, like Kirk Cousins, throw up a ton of yards and they don't win Super Bowls? It's a team that runs the ball and dominant that can do that, that wins those things. And the quarterback gets you in the postseason and finishes the job for you. Okay? I mean, I don't have any idea what that means. You know, throw more than 30 times, you have a 50% chance of losing ball games, Mr. Analytics. You mean Jalen and Lamar, not Brady and Mahomes and the classic passers. When you're a dual threat guy like that, let me tell you something. Tom Brady going 35 or 55 in a game for 450 yards. I'm going to hang my hat on him Remember something. Tom Brady was the most talented player always in his huddle, his entire career. There was never a more talented player, maybe a better athlete than Gronk, but nobody was more talented than Brady. And there's nobody that's ever read defenses better than Tom Brady. He was a savant at it. Pre-snap reads, post-snap reads. I mean, there's no question about it. Brady knew what was going on 3 steps before. What and why was that? Why do you think Brady knew what was going on? Because you had the greatest defensive coordinator in history of the NFL telling you what you were going to see. So you were sitting here, and Belichick at Jimmy Johnson's house told me what they would do for hours. This is before and after practice. They would sit there and play these stupid war games. What are you going to do 3rd and 4 here on the -20? What are you doing here? And he would throw a scheme at him. What do you see? Brady would tell him, and he would go like this: Tom, throw the ball. You got to get the ball quicker out because that guy will jump the route. He's setting you up. Ed Reed was notorious at setting people up. You know why? He watched game film on you, and he knew your tendencies. And what he would do is, you thought he was wheeling and going to the middle of the field and going to the deep third. He'd turn around and run to the hash mark because he knew you were coming back to Wayne. He knew it numerous times. These guys are brilliant back there. It's like a chess game. Absolutely. That's why, Kyle, you hear me criticizing Jalen when there's wide open guys and missed throws. You know why? He's not seeing it. Now, you're 10-2. So what do you mean by that, Sills? Okay, follow me. Well, what does he do great? He runs the RPO. What else does he do great? He's smart. I think he sees his way through a game better than Lamar Jackson does. I think Lamar tries to force everything in there when Lamar doesn't have to. There was like 5 or 7 runs that Jackson could have had against the Eagles that would have picked up significant yards. Instead, he had to be hero ball. I think there's too much hero ball in Lamar at times. I don't think there's any real hero ball with Jalen. And by the way, to his ego, hey, you want to run the ball more? Wins us games? So be it. You know how many quarterbacks wouldn't do that? 90% of them. 90% of the quarterbacks. That'd be like telling AJ, hey, we're not going to make you the number 1 target guy. We're going to make you more of a decoy. He'd fucking wig out. Not every NFL guy's built the same. Some guys would rather have the targets than the wins. That's the majority of your elite receivers. I keep bringing the point up to you. Name me these big-time wide receivers prior to signing their gigantic money that have won Super Bowls. Who? Look at who Mahomes and Brady have won Super Bowls with. Oh, be it Tyreek Hill. Once he wanted his money, they moved him. Imagine that. NFL players voted him the best player in the league, and the Chiefs moved off that guy. Then we don't need him. We don't need him. I'd rather have reliable guys that know what they're doing and run great routes than a guy who wants the numbers and the targets. Tyreek Hill wants the numbers and the targets. That's how he got paid. He got his championship. He's cool. He'll never win another one ever again. Unless he's a bus rider somewhere at the end of his career. He'll never win one. He threw a phenomenal opportunity away to win multiple Super Bowls in Kansas City because he wanted money. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. There's just nothing wrong with it. So I was wondering, what is the difference about this team this year? This is the next topic, Prince. It is Vic. We have finally have an adult in the room. This team has always been talented, but we have lacked the adults in the room. Dude, you can make that comment about your head coach too. By the way, Prince, would you agree to this comment? That Vic has been an influence on Nick being a professional at the head coaching position. Would you agree to that? How blunt he is, what he's looking for, his attention to detail. Not saying he didn't, but don't you think Vic has had a massive impact on Nick Sirianni and his growth as a head coach? That's what's different. You got somebody in the building and not just some security guard and Big Dom sitting on the sidelines. You got actually a former head coach, a guy who's got massive experience and respect in the league, who fucking handles himself. Dude, go to a press conference that John McMullen goes to. The Kellen Moore and the Nick Sirianni press conferences, they sound the same. You go to a Vic Fangio press conference, dude, the reporters want more than 10 minutes. Because you know what you get out of him? Complete, direct, unfiltered honesty. What do you think of this player? Some good, some bad. What do you make of this? Vic never goes too, here's Nick. Nick will go so high, like the selling of Hurts, the MVP. That's so fucked up. And when asked the question about Jalen Carter, what does Vic Fangio say? Have you ever seen anybody like this? You don't think Vic Fangio's ever seen a defensive tackle or a defensive lineman like Reggie White, and someone's going to go like this? Hey, Sills, what do you make of Jalen Carter? Is he even in the top 5 best linemen in the history of the Eagles yet? I don't know. You know what Vic says? Hey, he's continuing to improve and get better. We want him to improve and get better. Okay? This guy tells you exactly, hey, Nolan Smith, he's getting better. He struggled a little bit out there against the Ravens. He hung in there, and he did okay. He's getting better. Dude, what's funny is, you see, how Vic Fangio speaks is how I was spoken to from coaches. Maybe that's why sometimes you guys don't like it. You know who can I make a comment to you without anybody getting upset here? Vic Fangio talks to you like Trump talks to people. Trump talks to you like that. Okay? Trump will talk to you like that. Not everybody likes Trump. Miami Dolphins didn't like Vic. They didn't like that attitude. They didn't like that behavior. They didn't like that directness. They wanted to have it smoothed over. You're not going to get anything smoothed over with that guy. Vic talks to you like Donald Trump or better yet, an owner who talks down to everybody. I grew up hearing defense wins championships. Why can't that be the thing again? That's for any team, just not the Eagles. Because the NFL today is different when you were growing up. The reason they changed the rules and want offensive players in fantasy football and everything, defenses today, one of the great reasons they have a salary cap and teams move is because they don't want great defenses any longer. Do you know there's only been 2 rule changes in the last 15 years that have benefited the defense? Do you know that? One of them is a chop back block. And the other one is, but forget what the other one is. I think you can hold a little longer off the. Oh no, they pulled it back. You can't hold the guy 5 yards off the line. You can hold him before in the past 10 yards. Now it's 5 yards. I mean, every rule change is to benefit the O, not the D. The hip drop tackle's no longer in. How are you fucking supposed to get these people on the ground? You can't hit a quarterback. Shit, if you roll up on them, you get a 15-yard penalty for roughing the passer. Where are you thinking that defense wins? It's impossible. Do you actually think a guy like Reggie White could play or Lawrence Taylor could play in today's game or Ronnie Lott? I'm not sure. Those guys were headhunters. They're headhunters. Yeah, I mean, it's a different league. Still, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl with Fangio at DC, Miami Dolphin head coach deserved to be fired. Hey, man, I don't believe that. I think the Miami Dolphins should look at their organization because every time they get into a football game, the Hello Kitty coach has a soft football team. I look at the culture that they have and the players that they sign and draft. And I look at Chris Greer more than I'd look at the head coach. What kind of players you bringing in? Yesterday, we did a drill. 20 of the 22 players that you brought in, I labeled as being tough guys. I guarantee you, if I did that with the Dolphin roster, there's no chance in hell that you have that dynamic. That's not a tough roster. When I think of the Miami Dolphins, do I think physical? Absolutely not. It's like a fake Gucci bag. That's what I think of, like a fake Rolex. When I see the Dolphins, I see fake Rolex. Okay? Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. All supers go to the top. By the way, if you think I'm banging on Jalen here, getting back to 22, I'd be contradicting myself if I said this to you the last 2 years. Why the fuck are you paying this guy $50 million to throw the ball? If you want to put Jalen Hurts back in that 22 mode where you're running those RPOs, I said it on Monday and in the postgame that I thought he was brilliant on Sunday in those RPOs. He's brilliant in them. He might actually be the best RPO quarterback with skill set at throwing the ball of anybody I've ever seen. But they just don't do it enough. Because you put your quarterback in harm's way. But now that Barkley's back there, they're figuring that out. Like Bob said, he's not the primary runner. But you know what he is? If I'm a defensive coordinator, okay? I'm a defensive coordinator, and I've got to do this, and I've got to coordinate that RPO. You know what I'm doing? Okay, I got AJ in the slant, and I got Barkley here. Okay, those are the two guys. Okay, Sills, it's 3rd and 7. Who's got Hurts? Because he's just as able to pull it down and take off and break out on the edge and break the edge down on me. Who's got him? Most teams don't have a second linebacker like a Dre Greenlaw that can cover that guy. You go from a guy like Patrick Queen or Roquan Smith to a dude. You don't really have that guy that matches up with Hurts. Hurts this year, you know where he's been effective? Dude, he's back to doing that shit he did in 22. 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. How many runs have you seen this year compared to a year ago where he's picking up that 3rd down? Now you're putting your quarterback in harm's way more. Okay? But I'll take 6, 7 years of Jalen Hurts doing that, which will result in getting you potentially to multiple NFC title games, than trying to fucking throw the ball like you do in the first quarter. You're defeating the purpose of it. I mean, do you understand that your coaches are going to cost you a game where you're not going to come back from because of those stupid, incompetent first 15 to 25 plays? Stop fucking doing that. It's nauseating. It's nauseating. You're fucking hurt. The coaches are hurting their team. This is why if Nick Sirianni was really the coach that you think he is, you would stop that shit. Hey, why don't you run the RPOs in the first quarter? Hello? Barkley gets his yards. You're up on teams. You're putting teams. Why are you surrendering one of the most important quarters in a game, the first quarter? Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? Because why? You owe an obligation to AJ because you paid him, and that's fucking dumb. I'll tell you this. You don't get that kind of thinking on the defensive side of the ball. He plays the best players, not based on salary, based on practice and based on production. The two most important P's to Vic Fangio, practice and production. That's how those guys get paid. That's how they play and get their playing time elevated. Okay? Dude, run that RPO like you did in the difference. Hey, Bob, am I right? The difference between 22 and 24 They don't run them RPOs right out of the start of the game. How many do you guys remember in 22? How many opening play drives you would go, holy shit, the Eagles have the ball 14 plays. And in the first quarter, the other team gets the ball 5 minutes. And the other team was behind the sticks the entire game. But what you didn't have was, you didn't have a closeout guy like Barkley then. You had good backs, not an exceptional back. Okay? Stop fucking doing that. Coaching is still a problem. Okay? This is a player 10-2 record. The first quarter is a nightmare. Barkley is carrying it to some extent with Hurts in their legs. The passing game's nowhere. Some would go, are you criticizing? No, because nobody can stop the right hand. If you can't stop an uppercut or a right hand punch, what's the fucking point of throwing it? How in the world are you running those incompetent plays in the first quarter? It's incompetence. Hey, folks, let's do a trend here. Put a thumbs up here. How many people think that the first quarter is a train wreck for the Eagles? And that eventually could be an issue if you get into the postseason. Steels, can you identify how every quarterback we face attacked us in the passing game? I see them attacking the right side all the time. I swear to God, Prince, that's the next topic. Okay? That's the next topic. Get this. Philadelphia doesn't think the first quarter of the NFL for the Eagles this year has been a train wreck. He thinks they played great. They scored what? Points in one game or two games out of the 12? He thinks that's great. He thinks that's great. Okay? I told you, Messiah, I'll get to it. Barkley would be the closer to the record if the first quarter was effective. Absolutely true. Okay? Get this. That's not my point, guy. That's not my point. Why don't you play 4 quarters of football? You can. It's not like they're stopping you. This guy right here, Arthur, doesn't get it. They can't stop you for 3 quarters. You only stop yourself for 4. You could blow teams out, but he doesn't want to. So he says, hey, fuck it. If they're up 10, we're good. We'll just come back in second, third, and fourth quarters. Hey, don't worry about it. We'll never get caught like that. Sure, okay. Nice job, Arthur. What a dumb way to look at shit. Hey, fuck it. We'll give the first quarter away. It doesn't matter because second, third, and fourth, we'll catch them. Talk about dumb. JAKIB Sports should be ashamed to have Sills part of the company. All this dude does is talk shit about players when he wasn't shit in the league. I'm not sure what that means, Joseph. This is not about a show about Dan Sileo, dickbag. This is a show about what's going on. And nobody's talking shit here, you fucking idiot. Nobody. You know what you should be ashamed of? That you were laying next to your boyfriend, and you decided laying next to your boyfriend, you were going to get up this morning and you were going to post something that said that you didn't like me. So talk about motivating. I made you so motivated that you got away from your boyfriend in bed to post something about me on my show. Do you know the amount of shit that takes for someone to motivate somebody like that? Thank you very much. I'll take that as a merit badge. You had to kiss your boyfriend goodbye. Then what you did was you came here, you logged on, you clicked, you found me, you logged on, you wrote something, and then you said this. You really spent your whole day with your boyfriend deciding that you told him, hey, get this. Hey, I'm going to go tell Sileo and JAKIB that he's an embarrassment. Goodbye, honey. I'll talk to you later. You and me will sit around eating hot dogs. Holy shit. Talk about somebody that was motivated. Thank you very much, man. Now you can go back to your boy and sit there and say, I'll get Sills tomorrow, too. Congratulations to you. Holy shit. I motivated this guy to put his cannoli down next to his boyfriend to post this. Man, I'm a little bit embarrassed. I mean, holy sow. Hey, I don't know. Sills, don't flip out. This 24 RPO is working without utilizing both of the wide receivers. Smitty's been a non-factor. I love the player, but he might be an asset that could be used elsewhere in 25. Hey, dude, you know what? I'm never going to say that the football team is going to be better without Devontae Smith. That's not where I'm going. Okay? That's not where I'm going. I'm never going to say that. Holy shit. What a comeback, dude. I'm so insulted. Guy's like 15 years old. Just, I think it's arrogance. I think they look at where these pass defenses are ranked. I do too, Samuel. I do too. I think that, look, when you look at Carolina, but wait a minute. Now, if I'm looking at Carolina, I'm going, so they give up, what, 200 yards rushing? I'm going to run the shit out of the ball there. Okay? I'm going to run the shit out of the ball. Okay? Oh, damn, Sills. Want to hear it? Man, wait a minute. James, I mean, Hollywood. All I tell you is, I motivate a lot of people to do a lot of things. But, to leave your boyfriend at night, I don't know, man. If they could get even 10 points in the first quarter, it would change big time. Diesel, they would put teams out of their misery early. Just for that, Rose. Dual threat. I'll give it to you. Thank you. $5, damn right. Supers go to the top. Except that one guy who left his boyfriend today. It's all good. Don't worry, kid. We appreciate you being here at JAKIB, that you would leave that comfy and that confines with you and your guy to come here and post that. Hey, I'm not embarrassed. You should be. I want to see Hurts take a page from McNabb. Stay behind the line of scrimmage. Hurts is a more accurate passer. I don't know about that. He's not a better passer than Donovan. Oh, I don't know. Donovan was 64%. Okay? Maybe. Jessica Sills, what about taking a deep throw, go route like Reed and McNabb on the first play? Sure. And then run the RPO after that? Sure. But Jessica, here's the one thing I'll say to you. That's not how they're going to win. They're going to win by running it. Be more creative in the running game. The RPO is creative. Jalen is a great decision maker when he runs that RPO. You want to hear something positive? Here it is. He is an exceptional decision maker. He was exceptional in 22. He was atrocious in 23. He's fair this year. Since the bye, he's better. That's how I see it. In 22, in 21, he was learning. He got to the playoffs. Great. 22, he was exceptional. 23, it was atrocious. In 24, it was bumpy, like we said it would be. And since the bye, they know what he is, and they know who he is. And you've got a generational year going on. To sit there and think that Barkley's going to go for $2,000 next year is ridiculous. So you know what you do? Ride this wave as much as you can. Okay? Ride this as far as you can. Real emotion, real show. Joseph tapped out. I doubt it. They probably have a soiree later. um, McNabb had wide receivers with feet for hands. He did. He had nobody. He had absolutely nobody. Okay? Nobody. Donovan didn't have anybody. All right. This is going to be my favorite topic because I can't wait for this. And I heard Johnny Mack say this, and I went back and looked at the numbers. Okay? I went back and looked at the numbers on this. Donovan had a shitty supporting cast most years, and for him to have the high percentage speaks about him and his talent. And he got to 5 NFC title games with that shit offensive talent. Not saying Westbrook, not saying the tight end. O-line was decent, but not like this. Jalen Hurts has the greatest collection of talent any quarterback in Philadelphia Eagle history has ever had. And there's no way around it. Okay? There's no way around it. And I think he does the least with it. Tight ends are barely utilized. The third wide receiver is not utilized whatsoever. Okay, one guy is the primary target. Shit, it's gotten so bad that hey, let me ask you this. Now, this is an unfair comment, but let's move forward with it. Okay? Smith has missed a lot of time. AJ to some extent also. Could that still be part of the numbers? Yeah. But are you trying to tell me with Barkley on a historic run, they would have thrown the ball more anyway? If that's the case, that's poor coaching. Don't you agree? Would you agree if both guys had been playing? Can I tell you this? If those guys didn't get hurt this year, you wouldn't be 10-2 because you'd be still trying to fucking throw the ball. To some extent, the best thing ever happened to you was AJ and Devontae missing time because it featured Barkley and Hurts running. The passing game has been no factor outside of AJ slants at all this year. It's got to the point now where Devontae's not even missed on how well the run game's going. Think about it. If those wide receivers did not get hurt, would they have changed? They're not changing now in the first quarter. What would make you think they would change their mentality? They were forced. Remember, I told you at the beginning of the year, do you think Barkley changes and forces the narrative because he's having such a great start? Everyone went, no, they're going to throw the ball 4,500 yards for Hurts and 35. I went like, I don't know. This guy is doing something here. And this was second game of the year. I started going, I think Barkley's going to change. Thank God those guys got hurt. Thank God they got hurt. You would never have run the ball as much. Never. Goddard getting hurt. Hey, how many games this year has Goddard, AJ, and Devontae played in this year? How many games has the three of those guys played? How many games has it been this year that they played, all three of them? 4? 3 or 4? Prince, 3 or 4? 3 or 4 games you had all three guys. Okay? Dude, get this. Best thing happened to the Eagles was those guys getting banged up and missing time. Because you leaned on a guy who's having a historic, and you leaned on they should have did this shit last year even with Swift. Here, they know what Hurts is. By the way, that sounds like I'm shitting on him. No. If you want to give me Jalen Hurts 2022, I have said it a billion times. I'm good with that, Hurts. If you want to do that, I'm good with that. By the way, help me out here, guys. What was the passing in 22? What was it ranked in 22 when they went to the Super Bowl? I don't remember. So I'm not going to make an indictment here on anything. What in 2022, what did the Philadelphia Eagles have as a ranking for their passing in 2022? What did they have? What was Jalen ranked? Okay, someone says 5th. Is that right? They were like 5th? Is that right? Dave says 9th. Okay, so somewhere, now you're 28th. How have you gotten better throwing the ball? Not defending Hurts. Can you name me 10 quarterbacks that deserve the big money they make? The quarterback market is hurting the NFL. Diesel, guys don't get paid on wins. They get paid on numbers. Almost every one of the quarterbacks that are in the top 10 highest paid guys don't have a winning record in the postseason. Okay? They don't. Trevor Lawrence doesn't. I think golf's 500. I think Joe Burrow has a 500 record and above it. Mahomes is insane. 16-4, something shit like that. But the rest of them are all under 500. Lamar, Kyler Murray, Jalen Hurts. Very few guys. So they were top 10 in passing. Well, what's different from that year? What's different from that year? So let me get this right. Help me out, guys. Shane Steichen had the 10th best passing attack in 2022. Brian Johnson had the 8th best passing attack in 23. Now you have the 28th best passing attack in the league. Have they gotten better under Kellen Moore throwing the ball? Says we don't need to throw the ball. We have this. Okay. Your passing's gotten better and more effective since the RPO was put back in, since the bye. And that's why you're looking at it going, he's not turning it over. He's got a high completion percentage, and he's going to be around 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 70% completion. Isn't that good enough? Yeah. Yes, it is when you got a 2,000-yard running back and an 800-yard running back at quarterback. Yeah. Absolutely. No question. Okay? Right? So it's Josh Allen, 6'5", 240 pounds. Here we go with the Josh Allen stuff again. Ain't losing in dome, no condition, shootout to anyone. You have home field advantage in Buffalo. They're going to the Super Bowl. They've got to get home field advantage. They can't go to Kansas City. They cannot go to Kansas City. Buffalo's got to get home field for them to go to the Super Bowl. Okay? Buffalo wants to go to the Super Bowl. They got to get home field. They've got to win home field. And for me, the Eagles, I don't think it matters as much for them going to a dome. They went up there a couple of years ago and beat them up there. Albeit they're better now, Detroit, but I'd still think that they could go up there and handle that dome. Whereas I don't think Detroit could play outside in Lincoln Financial in January. I do not believe that. Okay? Dome teams do not do well in December and January outside. They just do not do well. Okay? There's only been 3 or 4 teams that have ever won a Super Bowl that have played in domes, period. Like I said, Saints, the Rams, when they were in St. Louis, Saints, Rams, Colts. Like 3 teams. Okay? I mean, dome teams don't do well. Here. Now, let me get to this topic. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Farzetta's going to join us at 4:30. Guys, please hit the like button. I heard Johnny Mac say something, and I went and looked at the numbers. I actually had some NFL people give me a percentage on this. Quinyon Mitchell's not a shutdown corner. Let me finish. He's not a shutdown corner. I want you to let me finish here. Shutdown corners, to John McMullen's definition, and he's right, are man cover corners. That's a shutdown corner. That's a shutdown corner. Guy who plays man and a guy who plays press. The Eagles play press this year so far in 2024, 2.3% of the time they press receivers. That means where they get up on the line of scrimmage and press them. That's the definition of a press corner. And that's the definition of a lockdown corner, like a Sauce Gardner. Quinyon Mitchell does none of that. So when people make that comparison, it's an unfair comparison. He plays up, like Jalen Ramsey plays up on you. And that's press. Nobody in their wildest imagination would say a guy who plays 10 yards off the ball and plays center field, and you got two high safeties playing 15 yards off the ball, are lockdown corners. That's not a lockdown corner. Darrelle Revis would line up on the line of scrimmage with you, and he would press you. Now, let me finish here. Okay? Okay, let me finish here. Okay? Hold on, Flexen. I don't think they are. No, I don't think they are. However, John McMullen's mentality is John McMullen's mentality as well. It's Vic Fangio's scheme. Okay, remember when Dave Wannstedt came on here? Guy who owns 3 Super Bowls said this: it's not going to be the scheme. It's going to be the Jimmies and Joes, whether you have the personnel or not to run that scheme. According to John, I could put Xander back there corner, and he'd have the same effect. I 1,000% do not believe that. Okay? You're trying to tell me I can plug and play anybody in that system. Now, to John's credit, they did that with Bradbury, and they did that with Slay, and both guys made the Pro Bowl. One was an All-Pro. So I ask you, and Q played zone in college, and so did Cooper DeJean. Is it Vic Fangio? Now, look, I know it's both. Who gets more credit for this, though? Is it Vic? Or is it Quinyon Mitchell, who's having a good year? But if you look at it, and you really do break it down to what we're looking at here, you're really not threatened that much when you're not pressing anybody. You're playing center field. Now, somebody brought something up here too and said Seals are throwing the ball a lot more to the right. Is that an effect on Mitchell? Yeah, but not terribly. Not terribly. See, when you play a zone like that, it's got a lot to do with how good your safeties are playing. And the safeties have had a pretty good season. Would we not agree that Reed Blankenship and having Cooper DeJean out there at that slot nickel has benefited the middle of the seam and the middle of the zone and on the hash marks to where those guys on the perimeter are benefiting a ton? Those safeties are playing really well this year. I would make the argument your safeties and your safety position has actually played better than your corners. And your linebackers are getting deeper drops. You shrunk the zone. A year ago, the zone was like this. This year, you shrunk it, which means you're going to go. By the way, like I've been trying to tell Xander and everyone, Slay has more footballs thrown to his side. You know why? Slay is going to play center field. He's going to give you everything underneath. So they're going to go over there to the right. They may throw underneath, but they're going to go over there. Slay doesn't have the closing speed. The reason they throw more right is because Slay doesn't have the closing speed that Mitchell has. So again, let me circle this back. The definition of lockdown corner is not him. However, is he making a difference in that zone defense? Completely. I do not believe what John said, that you can fucking plug anybody in there and you get the same result. That was his contention today. I don't believe that. I think that he's a good player. I think he's a really good player. I don't. Okay. Xander's he'll when he comes down at the bottom of the hour. Okay. Again, I don't want to indict John here on that, because and I was on for 5 minutes. Okay, so he'll make sure he clarifies it at the bottom of the hour here in about 9 minutes. Q plays 5 yards off the ball. Wide receivers is insane closing speed. He has great closing speed. That's not what I see when you put on the 22. It's not 5 yards. It's not true. I asked Johnny Mack if he has ever seen a rookie shut down a side and he took it as a shutdown corner. Because John has covered guys like Darrelle Revis, Deion Sanders. Those are shutdown guys. Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey is a generational player. He's as good as it gets when he was in his prime. 2 years in Los Angeles, most of the years that he was in his prime was in Jacksonville. That's a lockdown corner that will line up right off the line of scrimmage, and he'll take that guy. And Patrick Surtain is a guy like that. Okay? He's a dude like that. Now, a guy who plays a two-eye safety and he plays in a zone, he keeps everything under. The closing speed is the key to this. And he's exceptional at it. He's got exceptional closing speed. And by the way, I'm not ripping it. I think it's more about definition. And I think that definition has changed. Okay, so, lockdown corners to older guys who covered the sport? No, he's not. Is he a modern day lockdown corner? If somebody said that to me, I would be okay with that. Because more teams are playing that zone than they are playing press. The Eagles are in press 2.3% of the time. By definition, he's not. But in today's NFL, I see more of this zone defense being played in today's NFL than I do at any time. They're just trying to eliminate the giant explosion plays. They don't care. That's why, guys, when you see these numbers, let me show you something here. When you see these numbers here, and you see this type of numbers, which is, in my time, unbelievable and awful. Get this. 425 yards a game for the Ravens is fucking unbelievably awful if you're surrendering that. Let's go down here to the defenses. Okay, so the worst defense in the league today, in total offenses. The worst offense in the NFL is giving up 300 yards a game. The Patriots are averaging 300 yards a game. Okay? Back in the day, 15, 20 years ago, that's terrible. So the game has evolved. Look at this. The Panthers are averaging 280 yards a game. Give me a break. The Panthers, and they're ranked 31st. Look at these offensive numbers. So what is this a product of? I think it's a product of the zone defenses in today's NFL. It's just different. Dude, Gang Green's not giving up 300 yards. You could give up. Get this. The Eagles right now, what are they? The Eagles right now defensively are giving up 280 yards a game. That's first. My God. Really? Back in the day, 225 was the number that teams were surrendering that won the total defense. 290. Okay? Not 290 or 200. Yeah, not 290 yards. That's not what that was. The game's evolved into this zone. So when John says that, he's not wrong, because by definition, he doesn't play that old school corner. He plays a new school corner. Ramsey sucked in Vic's defense last year, just saying. Because he was in a zone covered. Yeah, no, because that's not his skill set. Nick, didn't fit. I think the Dolphins are 7th in defense right now, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Dolphins are 6th or 7th right now in defense. So, I mean, you can say what you will about it. Let me take a look at that and see where the Dolphins are ranked right now defensively in total defense. Yeah, the Dolphins are 7th. They've improved mightily. Now, that's a lot to do with health. And let's see what their pass defense is doing. The Dolphins are 9th. So the coordinator they got now fits better than what Vic did. Vic plays a zone deep. Their defense is better this year in Miami than it was a year ago under Vic Fangio. It's better. Why? Not because Vic sucks. Because the skill set personnel in Miami was made more for man defenses. Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey were more press corners. It's not an indictment on anybody. It was just a bad fit. I mean, last year, I believe they ended up like 18th or something like that in pass defense. This year, they're 7th. They're better. You know why? They're doing what their skill does. And so what I'm saying about Q is this. Q's in a system that he played in college at Toledo. Okay? Where he played zone. Same with Cooper. And they know what they're doing. I heard the guys talking today, and they go, well, he's picked it up. And the communication is what you should be thrilled about. Yeah. Dare I say this? This goes back to drafting. And drafting things to fit coordinators. I don't know if any other two players could have fit in Vic's system, because Jalen Ramsey is having a better year this year. He didn't fit. He's going to Hall of Fame, maybe. He didn't fit. So this goes back to drafting. Are we drafting zone corners? Are we drafting guys that are going to fit in this guy's system? How much influence did Vic have? I would really love John McMullen to ask one question the next time they get Vic Fangio. Did you have any say whatsoever in the draft picks that Howie took? Or was that solely Howie? I'd like to know that. Because that Jalix Hunt pick looks kind of like a Vic pick, but I'm not sure now. I don't know. You know, I may ask Clint Hurt that. Okay? It's just different. Get this. They play 2.3% man coverage. That's not a lockdown corner. But today's NFL, you can't just put another dude out there. And if he doesn't have the closing speed to allow a guy, when you're 10 yards off the ball, to allow that guy, and you just can't. You can't put another guy out there. I think he's an exception. And I heard John saying he's having a great year. John wasn't ripping the guy. I just think it's a different form of what we're seeing today. Like I said, if Vic sucks so bad, And the Dolphin defense sucked so bad last year. Why are they playing better this year without him? It's the players. It's the players. Okay? The players on the Eagles fit Vic and what he wants, and they're listening. I think the communication that John talked about was essential, and he's right. Cooper and Q being able to communicate like that is 100% one of the reasons why the pass defense is playing so well. They know what they're doing. Okay? Again, like I said, 63 completion rate with 9 last year. It was 54 with 12 yards. Okay? I think, Dave, that comes down to better players. I don't know so much scheme. They ran the same basic scheme they did a year ago. But you've got a guy in the slot in Cooper, and you got a guy over on the left hash who's playing better than Bradbury. I mean, I think it comes down. I don't think you can just put anybody back there. I mean, it's like saying I could put Xander back there. Okay? I feel like we are underestimating Q. When Slay is in, they attack the right side. When Slay is out, they also attack the right side. Prince, I think it's more to do with terminology. I'm telling you, I think his impact in that zone is because of the closing speed that he has and the ability to hang on a guy's back pocket the way he does. His skill set is better than Bradbury's a year ago. It's evident by just watching. I think it's hard. By the way, Prince, to the point, what Q's doing, playing that style of defense, I think is harder. Okay? I think it's harder because you're in more space than you are when you're pressing a guy. Here, remember something. Jimmy Johnson will tell you this flat out. The key to zone defense and the key to press defense is this. Do you want to die a quick death or do you want to die a slow death? If you don't have the corners and you're playing man or you're playing press, okay, or you're in a zone, you don't have the people out there, you're going to die a quick death because those guys are going to get quick releases on you. And you know what they're going to be making? 25-yard explosion plays on you. When you're off the ball like that and you got a guy like Quinyon Mitchell that has closing speed like that and that can tackle in space, I'm telling you, what that guy's doing out there, if you think I'm fucking ripping that guy, you're out of your mind. That guy is an open field tackler, and he is a radar somewhere in his brain where he knows pursuit angles. That's harder in space to do what they're doing. Limiting the amount of passing yardage that they're doing back there. That's harder. I'd rather be up on you on the line of scrimmage, grabbing your, hey, I get this. How many people would rather do this? Remember something when you cover a guy in the NFL, if you grab a guy at the line of scrimmage, it's a 5-yard penalty. It's holding. If you let that guy get by you and then you go try to grab him, that's a 15-yard pass. No, excuse me. That's a pass interference spot foul. Dude, I hate the NFL interference rule. Throw it up. It's a spot foul. That's bullshit. That's not football. I hope we could see Q shadow a guy all game one. Dude, why? He's playing in like I said, the Dolphins guys fit what is going on this year. They're having a better year defensively without Vic Fangio. Why? Because those guys fit what they want to have when it comes to pressing people. You have right now a better situation because you have guys that played zone their entire 4 years of college and know what's being asked of them and have fit in right away and adapted right away. And their game has matriculated in quicker than what people thought. When you go against A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith every fucking practice, you don't think you're getting a high education every day? All right. Oh, yeah, we're doing our quarterbacks today, too. By the way, Farzi will join us at 4:30. I thought, by the way, I disagree with both John and Xander here. This guy, dude, if you're close to 2105, and you're 25, 30 yards away from that, I'm fucking going for that. That's an organizational, historic thing that you're on the cusp of doing. Brian Westbrook said it. I agree with him. That's an org. You don't think Howie would want that in his resume, that I made a move for free agency to sign a guy who got the all-time leading single season rushing narc? You don't think Howie running around going like this? Look what I did. That guy would be sitting there going, I signed a guy who broke Dickerson's record. You don't think that he would want that? Okay. I must not be covering the right Eagles. All that being said, I missed them yesterday, by the way. I really did. But we had the Battle Royale, and we had Brian Westbrook. By the way, we are working on a very special guest next week, Clyde Simmons. So we're working on that. You guys like gangrene? Big Sills is going to bring you gangrene. All right. Speaking of green, the man, the myth, the legend, the co-host of Birds 365, it is our friend, Big C, Xander Krause.
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
All good, man.
Are you clumping me in with narratives again to prove your point, Sileo?
No, I'm not saying anything negative.
Oh, I think they should absolutely go for the record. You misheard me on Birds 365. I just think John made the right point. I mean, at every step, the Birds have gone out of their way to, when they can, get their guys extra rest. And if that game's meaningless, I doubt they're going to do it. I think they should do it, though. I think you're right. I think that's one of those things where, I'm with everybody. We want Super Bowls, not those accolades. But there's certain ones that tell the story of the NFL, that tell the story of a franchise, of a team, of an era of football. And I think that's a story worth getting and telling and being a part of. So
how about this, Andrew? If it was the all-time single-season rushing mark for the Eagles, I don't think that's a big deal.
Right.
But I think when you're talking the all-time NFL rushing mark of 2105,
agreed.
People know what that is. Like, they know Wilt scoring 100 points. They know that, you're talking about something, and especially a guy who had a career, Xander, that was wasted in New York, that you would want him to be able to validate that by going like this. That possibly wins him, and most surely should win him the MVP. You start talking about numbers, longevity, and also his resume about potentially down the line. I would want that for my organization. And plus, don't you think Howie would want that? I made him the all-time league single-season rushing leader, and I did it with a guy in my own freaking division.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think everything you're saying is spot on, and I hope Barkley can get there. I think that would be excellent to see him. Yeah, I mean that would be a pretty cool feat to get, especially for a guy like Lane Johnson too. It's another guy. I mean, all those guys. I think it'd be a great thing to do. You know what else is interesting about it too is it's not just the moment in time where you break the record. This is. I'm not saying that the Eagles are going to do this, but like if it did happen that this team went to a Super Bowl with Barkley, you're like transcending what the trend of the last 20 years in the NFL has been, and coming in and disrupting that in such a large way. I mean, it would become a part of NFL history. Think about it. The passing attack, the rules that have been made, the passing yard, everything that's happened in the NFL. And here come the Philadelphia Eagles, who decide to bring back the 1980s, destroy everybody at the line of scrimmage, and march their way to a Super Bowl. I mean, that's a hell of a story, right, Sills?
Yeah. Oh, no, hey.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it'll be interesting to see, though, what happens.
I want to see this, too. I want to see this, okay? I do want to see this. By the way, how much interest do you have in tonight's game? Packers and Lions tonight.
Maximum interest. I'll be tuned in the entire game. I'll be watching every play.
Boy, I'll tell you what, I want to see both these football teams, because there's a part of me, Xander, that thinks that the Packers are kind of right in there with the talent level and the roster.
I think they are. Yeah.
And the quarterback, you know what? Hey, if I had to pick a quarterback between the both of them to start my franchise, I'm picking Jordan Love to start my franchise over Jared Goff. Even though Goff is having an exceptional year. You know what? Maybe I shouldn't say that, because maybe I keep dismissing him. Would we agree Jared Goff's better than Dak Prescott?
I think they're similar players. I do think Jared Goff is in a better system right now.
And he's won more.
He's won more, certainly. But I think there's a lot of other factors that go into this that Like Dak, look, I'm not a Dak guy, but at the end of the day, they haven't really done a good job. Like, did Dallas fans or Eagles fans expect Dak to have a good year this year?
Nope, I didn't.
Taylor wouldn't have a good year there. Tom Brady probably wouldn't have a good year there. Like, nobody would have a good year this year.
No, they didn't
so
build a team
I'm
this
not going
year.
to crush Dak. I do think Dak is probably a more talented passer, but Jared Goff's probably the better overall quarterback. He's pretty good. Jared Goff, I don't think gets enough credit from people. I think they like
I shit on him too, and I shit on him too much.
Look, I've been there too in the past, but I think Jalen Hurts deserves more credit. I was going back, by the way. I'm getting some bleed in my screen. Let me see if I can fix that. I was going back and I want to challenge you on Jalen again because I'm challenging myself. I'm not just challenging you, but I've also been there where I'm at the start of the year and I'm like, can we win with Jalen like this? Is this good for the modern NFL? I have questions about Jalen Hurts, but if you go back and look at this guy's career, he has won at an unprecedented level at every level. And I'm talking high school, college, another college, now in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And I think what happens is, at least my speculation would be that you can't. It's not visible to the eye. Well, it's not explainable why he wins so much because he doesn't do things like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes or stuff like that. And I think it's hard to gauge how good of a player he is. And then when you get to the end and you're like, well, shit, he wins so much more than other guys. Like, I'll take that. I'm good with that, even if it's not exactly what I wanted to see somebody do to help me win.
Well, let me ask you this then. Was there a drop-off in wins when Hurts was benched in Alabama? When he had all that great talent around him? Was there a drop-off?
He was 26-2.
Was it more elevated when they put someone else in there that could throw the ball with more progression and understand reading defense?
It was a different offense. That was actually, you could argue that was like the break point of when Saban shifted to a complete pass team because before that, it was always defense and run game. I reminded somebody today, we won a national championship with Jake Coker.
The Henrys, the Mark Ingrams.
We had we had Blake Sims in there. We were 12-2 with Blake Sims. Like, we didn't have a passing offense.
But
Jalen Hurts was 26-2 in that time, and then he got benched.
And they benched him, and they elevated the offense by putting a better passer in there. So it wasn't where they missed him. They didn't miss him. They elevated one national. I'm not. By the way, I'm not saying he's not good, but he was benched for a reason. They were still winning.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And they elevated.
He wasn't benched for a reason. I get
it.
He
has been. By the way, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be in places that have great organizations and great environments for winning and conducive to helping you be a winner. Who in the fucking world would want to go work for the Jets? I don't want to. What, for money? Okay, fine. But wouldn't you want to be in a place like Bama, in a place like Oklahoma, in a place like Alabama? And then you get to an organization that consistently puts rosters together that keeps you around the rim. Now, again, Sills, hey, has he benefited from this? And has he taken advantage of this? Yes, at all points. But am I saying, can you put someone else in there? Well, yeah, you could. But he'd have to be a Josh Allen. He'd have to be a Joe Burrow. You're not just going to put – now, can you put Baker Mayfield in there? I don't know. I don't think so. But if – could you put Jared Goff in that offense? And could they excel because of the passing game? I do believe that. Could you put a guy like Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy in Philadelphia would be amazing because of what that guy does and how he sees the passing game a little better than Hurts. So my question would be, Jalen wins a lot, and Jalen is a talented guy. And I said this to you, Xander, the last year and a half. You give me that RPO guy that I saw in that Ravens game, and you play like that, that guy is going to win you a lot of football games, and I'm buying that. My problem is that in 22, you were 7th in passing. This year, you're 28th. In my opinion, since the 22 season, he hasn't evolved as a passer. They have not evolved that game. As a matter of fact, up to the point now where is Devontae even on the team anymore? I mean, how about this one too? I brought this point up. Do you not agree with this? If they didn't have the wide receivers injured, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert this year, they would still be trying to fucking throw the ball like they do in the first quarter every fucking game. And think about this. You've only been with the three guys 3 times this year where you've had them on the field together. Don't you think that if that haven't evolved, and I said it earlier to you in the year, I think this guy Barkley's changing the narrative. They got into the bye. They completely went the opposite way and flipped the script. Dude, I'm telling you, if those guys don't get hurt, I think they're still trying to jam that ball down the field like they do in the first quarter. And you're not having this Barkley year.
Maybe. I think that's fair to assume that might have, I think they would
look at the first quarter.
I think they would have changed eventually. It just might have been
they did it in 23.
It might have been an uglier road, Sileo, to get there. It might have been an uglier road where we had to go through some stuff. But look, I also think that something that's been lost in the conversation of the passing offense this year is it is a new coordinator. Like, you don't often see guys get new coordinators and have their best year. Even with 22, it took Shane Steichen his second year. So I think that's in there too. I think that's a factor. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but I think that's a factor.
Brian was 8th.
Well, we're 4th this year. He wasn't 8th in the passing.
They were 8th total. They were 8th total.
So we're 4th total right now. Now that's obviously.
But I thought Kellen was brought in to improve the passing game, not the run game.
Could we be seeing a shift in their philosophy based on what we saw versus the Ravens going back to the RPO? Because you saw more of it and successfully.
And now a fullback.
They signed a fullback. How about that? Have you seen that guy too? There's some good tape out on that guy.
Hey,
Curry Black Game or whatever his name is.
Hey, that fullback is you know what that means? Less reps for Dotson.
Ooh, that's all right. You're not losing much there. Jalen's not a progression guy, so you're not getting to that third receiver much. You know, we can kill Dotson all we want. How much of it is on Dotson? I don't know. Now, he wasn't great when he was a number 2 receiver, so I'm not giving him an out. He's not. I don't think he's this great player, but this isn't the offense for somebody to thrive as a wide receiver 3.
Has anybody been good at the 3 hole, though, for Philly in the last 3 years? And if you're telling me Quez Watkins, okay, well, shit.
I mean, was
you're really not getting it. Hey, I'll tell you what, that Olmadias guy or whatever his name was, that was pretty decent.
Yeah. Was Queasy better than we give him credit for here?
Yeah, it was. Except
like
that
last year he had – last year was a drop. See, he did really good in 21. Now, that was because that was before they got AJ. Is that right?
Yeah.
So he had 650 yards in 21. That was Jalen's first year starting. Then he had 350 when AJ showed up. Then he had 140 last year. Yeah. So he didn't have a good year last year. 140 yards is pitiful.
Quez Watkins was – I even forget he was on the team a year ago.
He was. Yeah, he was here last year.
Yeah, so that just shows. Do you know that
he only played in 9 games, but
you only got 35 catches out of that 3 hole a year ago total. 35 catches out of that position for the entire year. You're trending that way again this year. And get this again, like I said, look, dude, the guy is on a historic run. They're now starting to go back to fullback. They're going back to running the ball more. I don't have a problem with that, man. Again, especially if you continue to play defense the way you're playing on that side of the ball. Xander, if that defense is not playing that way, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. Now, I'm going to ask you this question.
You're not wrong about that. And by the way, Brian Westbrook sounded a lot like Big Z yesterday, didn't he? With if this defense does this, then sure they can win a Super Bowl. If they don't, then yeah, we're going to have to change it up and see if we can win through the pass.
Let me ask you something here. Do the Philadelphia Eagles have a regular season offense and they don't have a postseason offense?
No, I saw that bullshit. I guess it's fair to assume that, or fair to wonder that until we get there. But look, that's going to be the narrative because when you get into playoffs, margins are tighter. But at the end of the day, I've seen the Eagles get to the Super Bowl. Remember, how many points did they give up on defense in 22 in the march to the Super Bowl? They gave up 7 to the Niners and I think 7 to the Giants. So they gave up back in 17, the NFC title game, we won 38-7 over the Vikings. So I get it. In the playoffs, is there more of a chance?
But you won the Super Bowl you won the Super Bowl in 17 throwing the ball like a ton. In the playoffs, in that playoff run.
We threw the ball a ton.
In the playoffs, too. It wasn't just the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm more pointing out to that if the defense can keep
Oh, yes.
An offense at bay, then it allows you to be the running attack consistently. Like if you're down 7 or the opponent only has 7 or 10 or 14 points on the board, you're going to be able to run all 4 quarters. So you never have to change your offense into being that passing style. But that's good. That's going to be interesting to see tonight. Like the one thing I'll give Detroit right now over Philly is if they were down by 21, and maybe people will disagree with me, and that's fine. But challenge me. I mean, say what you think. But if they're down 21, I'm not saying we couldn't do it. I think they've showed more that they could be able to handle that than potentially the Eagles offense has yet this year. And that's not to say the Eagles can't do it, but they haven't really showed it yet this year. And that's fair to point out right now versus the Lions offense. Look, Jared Goff's had 5 touchdown games this year. He's throwing the ball.
And perfect quarterback ratings.
But remember, Sills, we joke about Jalen's 118 yards. Jared Goff won a game this year with 85 yards. 85 yards. 85 freaking yards.
Yeah,
so they're similar teams. Like I said, though, I do think Jared Goff has showed a little bit more.
But they're fourth in passing. Okay, I mean that's an anomaly.
That's why I think they could.
See, that's an anomaly, though. 85. Your guy's a trend. 110, 115, 125, 130. That's who he is. That's not who Goff is.
Yeah, it's a good stat here.
That's not who he is.
You're right. Stormin Norman says Eagles when trailing this year have ran the ball 52% of the time. But Stormin, it's a great stat, by the way. Thanks for putting that in there. I don't think we've been down by 2 touchdowns maybe yet this year.
And I thought the most. I thought 10. I thought you were. I can't remember the game.
I mean, we've been down. There's been no moments when we were down, but I'm saying we've never been in a position where a team has been close to running away with the game. I mean, we were down 9 to the Ravens, and if they scored there, I was like, oh boy, if they score here and go up 16, that's going to be an interesting thing to see how the Eagles come back from that. We haven't really been in that position. And Stormin, that's the point about the defense. Kind of makes the point, doesn't it? When you're not down by a lot, you can stick to the run. When you are down by a lot, you got to abandon that run to get back in the game. And it'll be interesting to see. I still think we can answer that bell, though, by the way. But it's not fair. It's not unfair to say we haven't seen it.
So you think you're just going to be able to flip a switch and all of a sudden you're going to throw for 325 yards?
No, but I think if a game calls for it, I think we do have the weapons. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you pointed it out on this show, literally today. If you're going to take away Saquon, you're going to leave a guy in single coverage. And I'll take A.J. Brown in single coverage over any cornerback in the league. And Jalen has proven, okay, I'll throw it to A.J. Even if it's not the best throw, I'll put the ball up for A.J. to go and get it.
They can't cover the slant.
Right, so what do? How do you take that away?
But I think it's all predicated on the fact that this year what they've done, Jalen Hurts has run the ball more. Jalen has been more effective, in my opinion, on 3rd and long when he runs the ball, man, because if you're a coordinator, I have to do this. If you're sitting down with your personnel, you're sitting down going, okay, they're going to run the slant. They're going to have to give you single coverage. I can't tell you how many times I watch at 22 and I go, why the fuck are they doing that? Single covering him. And then it's evident you do this because it's Barkley, their number one objective. Xander, I'll let him catch the slant. I got to stop Barkley. And you can't. And then you say this, okay, well, who's got Hurts? Okay, if Hurts keeps it and decides to go up on 3rd and 7, who has him? Most of the time, that's a physical mismatch. No, very few teams have a Dre Greenlaw that's a second best linebacker to Fred Warner, and Hurts is going to beat that. That if you notice, most of the time, the people that are making tackles on him are free safeties. They've got to come up and make a play on him, and by that time, Hurts has got the first down. It makes that single coverage on the numbers so much more difficult, is because of the running game on what's going on with those two guys. And right now, okay, this is where maybe I'll give Kellen. He's come up with a scheme to get AJ single covered. And he's also come up with something here knowing full well that offensive line is so dominant at the point of attack that Hurts and Saquon are making it impossible to double cover. I mean, look at Lamar. Yeah. Lamar was throwing into 4-man coverage.
I know.
Dude, I've never seen AJ with 4 dudes on him. You know why? Because those 4 dudes better be over there watching.
The only time I did that was in the Super Bowl when he made that big catch. He was triple covered on that catch. I'm pretty sure.
You're not getting triple coverage when you got Saquon Barkley and Hurts that could take off running like that.
Yeah,
you need
know what else? Yeah. You know what else I think adds to that? And you tell me. Does Saquon Barkley's home run ability also add to that? Because think about it. You could be down in a game and it's like, oh, you got to pass to get in. Well, if they're going to double up or try and take away A.J. Brown, okay, you're going to make it pretty easy for me to make a big hole for Saquon Barkley. And he's not going to get 15 yards. He's going to get 60. I think that changes a lot too. And that's what makes our running game so dynamic this year, where it's not just a traditional running game. Now, the Lions similarly, though, have a good running game. But they don't have the +1 like Jalen does.
Do you know what gives me a Woodrow Wilson about AJ too? Is this. He learned that blocking for Henry downfield and blowing dudes up and how important that is. I'm not saying he enjoys doing that, but I'll tell you what, man, there is no doubt he knows how to block downfield. And if you're a free or strong safety, I wouldn't want that fucker coming across me and hitting me in the head like that. Barkley, those home runs, dude, I didn't realize he was that quick.
Yeah, me neither. Okay? Me neither.
I did not. Now, I want you to help me out on something here. And I think this was a terminology conversation you guys were having more than, and by the way, it's not a rip on anything here. I think it's just a different NFL today than what John was. Look, lockdown corners are clearly this. And by the way, I asked somebody in the NFL to tell me what the Eagles do when they press. There was a team. Okay, I'll tell you. I asked Bruce Arians this question. Okay. The Eagles this year played 2.3 press coverage. Okay. That means you're up on the line of scrimmage and you're pressing wide receivers. 2.3% of the games that they've played this year, which is really very limited. So most of the time, they're 98% or 97%, they're going to be in a zone coverage, which means he's like between 7 to 10 yards off the ball, and they're going to be in a zone coverage back there, and you're going to have 2 high safeties. That's the Vic Fangio. Now, I also asked the question, is that the modern day thing that's going on in the NFL today? Because when you look at the overall numbers, Xander, in my time, 300 yards. Right now, the Eagles are giving up 290 yards in total offense. That's number one. Fuck. Are you kidding me? In my time, it's 242, right. 238. Okay? The league has progressed into it where they're giving you that underneath shit like that. So when I heard John say that Q's not a press corner, I'm like, he's not. But I also said, I don't think you could just put Xander Krause out there at left corner and fucking you have the top defense. No. But I mean, dude, I think that he is an impact in that zone defense for the simple fact, his closing speed, his communication. And I got to say this too, man, and I hate to do this, but this goes to Howie. I'd like to know who had the insight on drafting him and Cooper DeJean, because those dudes, for them being able to figure it out as quick as they have, they must have played that defense. And I checked with Kirk Ferentz. They played a zone defense at Iowa, and they did play a zone at Toledo. So they know what they're looking at when they're back there. Did Vic influence that in that pick? Maybe. Or was that Howie that influenced that? Because here, the Dolphins are having a better year defensively without Vic Fangio. Okay? They're having a better year.
Yeah, they didn't really fit the zone system as much.
Right, they're a press team.
Well, you know what's interesting about the Cooper DeJean pick is, now I don't know obviously how much. There's always some say, but I think the owner liked him the most. If you go back at the draft, you remember when they released the draft footage of the room, and the owner was ecstatic when the Rams took Fisk and did not take Cooper DeJean, and that's when Howie jumped. So I don't know. I mean, somebody made the good pick on him. Vic probably signed off on it. But look, I don't think they're giving anybody final say or more say than what Howie and Jeffrey would have in that. I think that's their sandbox. Whether they're right or wrong to do
even Stoutland?
Maybe Stout. I'm sure Stout. I mean, look, when you're picking an offensive lineman, I think you would be dumb as a GM to not go with that, to not go with that opinion. But at the end of the day, every pick, you never know who's on the board when you make a pick. So Howie's making that final decision. But I don't know. It's an interesting pick, and it's really turned out because Cooper DeJean, Sileo, you made this early comment. You made it like 5 or 6 weeks ago on the postgame show, and you got ripped in the comments after, and you were like, I think I like Cooper DeJean more than Quinyon Mitchell. And you were the first guy to say that. And now I'm seeing that all over the place, where as good as Quinyon Mitchell's been, Cooper DeJean has been right there, maybe even better than
not
him.
a rip.
It's not a rip. No, it's not a rip at all. But you noticed that early, how much of a difference he made on that defense. And if you go back, when he started playing is really when the defense took off to a new level. Now, I'm not saying it's all him, but Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell are home run draft picks for this team. I think franchise altering, literally.
That's a real, like, here, like, I heard somebody make a comment about and I think it was John saying something about Fletcher Cox.
Yeah, we got a super chat about Fletcher.
If you remember when Xander ripped me when I first got on the network, and I said Fletcher Cox is my favorite DT, even over Aaron Donald.
I didn't remember that.
He goes like this. He goes, "You think Fletcher's better than Aaron Donald?" I go, "He's more complete because he can play the run and he can play the pass." Was he the pass rusher that Donald was? No. But you know the one thing that he could do? He was a guy who could play the run as well. There were multiple times you watched him in the run game. I have always been a Fletcher Cox guy, and I've always thought he was great. You know what I didn't think, Xander? I didn't think Fletcher was in the room with Ndamukong Suh. But if you look at their numbers, they're exactly the same. And a lot of people believe that Ndamukong Suh is an NFL Hall of Fame player. Okay? Now, is Jalen Carter in that room? I wrote down my 5 greatest Eagle D linemen. And I wrote these guys down. These are my 5. And do I think he's got the skill set to get there? I do. But I wrote down the 5 best. Here they are. The 5 best Eagle D linemen for me in my lifetime. I got Reggie 1, obviously. I got Jerome 2. I'm biased. I got Fletcher 3. You probably should do this to take my bias out of the room. Put Fletcher 2 and Jerome 3rd, but I can't. I got Clyde Simmons 4. I got Hugh Douglas 5.
That's a good one.
Brandon Graham 6.
I was going to say.
Those are my 6 greatest in my lifetime in the last probably 40, 50 years of the Eagle D linemen. I'd go Reggie White 1, Jerome 2, Fletcher 3, Clyde Simmons 4, Hugh Douglas 5, and I would go Brandon Graham 6. And if you want to throw Trent Cole in there too, you could probably throw
Trent Cole would be on mine because I'm younger, remember. So mine's Fletcher, obviously. Brandon Graham. Trent's obviously got to be on there. And then obviously, I mean, I obviously did not watch Reggie play or Jerome play or Clyde play, but I've watched documentaries and stuff. I've seen how
do your lifetime. I mean, probably
my lifetime is BG. I mean, it's BG and Cox. I mean, and Trent Cole. Now there were some other guys, but those are really the big. I mean, think about it.
Thomas Hollis,
I've been an Eagle fan. BG's been here. He's been here what, 13, 14 years? I'm 26.
Yeah.
I don't remember much before I was 10 years old, 12, 13 years old. So those are the guys. It's BG. It's Fletcher Cox. I remember. Is Twiz in here? Yeah, Twiz is in here. One of my first shows on the air. Twiz, he used my words against me because I said I love Cox.
Yeah. Of course, because everybody's got a gutter.
Yeah, Twiz had to hold it against me. He still writes that comment all the time on here.
Okay, so when we look at Q, how do you look at him? You think he's a lockdown corner?
I do. I think he's the best corner he's the best rookie corner I've ever seen in Philly.
He's not by definition. So is he a modern day?
What does that
Wait a minute.
mean?
It's not a rip. Is he a modern day lockdown corner? Because, dude, they're not throwing to that side of the ball. And as I told you, they were targeting Slay's side of the ball the majority of the season this year. Okay. I mean, I just think it's a terminology thing right now. But hey, is he Jalen Ramsey?
Yeah, but he's playing zone. Does that make him a bad corner?
No. It makes him a corner that fits what they're doing. Now, could I put him in Miami's defense? Would he would fail mightily.
I don't think he would.
Okay, well, he's not a press corner. He has not been tested.
Yeah, but they haven't asked him to be a press corner.
That's the point. You don't know.
That's not an indictment on the player.
That's guesswork.
No. I'm telling you though why I think you're wrong on this.
How do you know that? They play 2% press coverage.
But that's not because they don't trust the corner. That's because that's what Vic wants. Vic had Jalen Ramsey last year, and he still put him in zone.
This is hype. You're guessing that he can do it.
Well, obviously, we've never seen it, but I'm
Right.
not gonna
Right.
knock
Well,
it
I'm not
on
going
it.
to give somebody a benefit of the doubt in the NFL that's never done it. It's
Okay,
not
that's
going to
fine.
happen.
All right, so
That's
we
not
agree
going
to
to happen.
disagree. I think he's a lockdown corner, and he's perfect for the city
Okay.
of brotherly
All right.
love.
Well, again, like I said, you're giving the guy the benefit of the doubt who's never done it. That's not how you look at things.
Okay, that's fine. That's
Okay.
fine.
No. Great. You want to give somebody the
Yeah,
benefit
but
of the
them
doubt who's
playing
never doing something.
zone, them play. Okay, that's fine if you don't want to give him the benefit of the doubt that he could do
No,
it. But them playing zone is not a shot at Quignon
it's
because he
not.
did the same thing with one of the best corners in
Like
the
I
game.
said, Jalen Ramsey is probably going to knock on the door for the Pro Football Hall of Fame on being a lockdown press corner. That's what he does. When Vic wanted him to do it, you're telling me Jalen Ramsey couldn't play in the zone very well, but you're trying to tell me a guy was going to potentially go to the Hall of Fame. You're going to tell me a rookie can turn around and play a press coverage game, but Ramsey can't play a zone game, an easier game, which is in the zone. All right. Hey, to each his own.
Give me
Okay.
Quignon Mitchell overall.
Are you really? Well, Ramsey will be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I don't give a shit about Ramsey.
Okay. I don't know about your boy Q. Now, look, he fits the system. He does. He fits playing zone.
Okay,
It's
good. So what do we need? What? Okay, good. He
sit
fits
there
the
and call
Eagles.
him a press corner is ridiculous.
I don't need him to be something so that
Or
Sileo
just
can give
call
him
him a
credit. I need him to
lockdown
be a great corner for the Philadelphia
That plays
Eagles.
10 yards off the ball. He's a lockdown fucking corner. All right, sure.
Oh my God, this guy was
Yeah.
calling him the defensive rookie of the year like
baby.
2 days ago.
Baby. All right, let's move on.
I've never seen a guy move so quick. When were your defensive rookie of the year rankings? Literally Tuesday?
Yeah, I got him second.
Now you're bashing him on Thursday.
Dude, I got Cooper. In my opinion, by the end of the year, Cooper DeJean keeps playing. He'll jump that guy. Cooper DeJean, bro. You know what love he got for knocking
Quignon's been great for the Eagles.
Hey, do you know the love that guy's getting nationally for putting Derrick Henry on his back?
Yeah, it's great. It is great.
Hey, you know how many voters and people are watching that going, did he just pick Derrick Henry up who took Josh Norman and threw him into the first row of the first seats? And that guy picked him up and put him on his head?
Yeah. Cooper DeJean is out here showing out for all of us white dudes. He's picking up Derrick Henry and tossing him like a rag doll.
Hey, I'll tell you what, man. If I were him, I'd have that as a screensaver on my fucking laptop.
Yeah, don't read the headlines yet, man. Get to the end of the year. He's got to keep playing good, or else Sileo will be here to rip him every single day for 4 hours a day.
Sileo is not.
Don't get in the Sileo crosshairs.
Sileo is not here to rip anybody. Sileo is here to give nothing but the facts. Plain and simple, my friend.
The scary thing about the Sileo crosshairs is that you don't even have to play. You don't even have to play again to make him change his opinion. Tuesday he was glazing Quignon. Now John McMullen says he's playing 8 yards off, and now Sileo wants to rip him. Quignon hasn't even changed anything.
I have not ripped him one time today.
Oh, you ripped him.
I did not. He is a modern day lockdown zone corner.
He's a great zone corner, yeah.
Yeah, great zone corner.
Okay. How much you paying him? Is he a top guy?
He's nowhere near Patrick Surtain. So whatever that number is, let me see another year. I said the same thing with Sauce. After Sauce's first year, what do you make of him now?
Well, yeah, he's dropped off a little bit now, hasn't he?
Oh, but Q won't, because of course to you, you're giving him the benefit that he's going to be the next Darrelle Revis.
Oh, right? they're asking Sauce to play man a lot more.
That's right. That's
got a harder gig.
That's what the fuck did I just hear? It's a harder gig.
Yeah, I know it's a harder gig.
Oh, okay.
But I don't need Quignon to be that. So why am I going to live in fantasy land?
Hey, see, I'll tell you.
It's like you. It's the same thing with you.
I'll tell you one thing that it is for my friend Xander Krause.
I'm telling you, like I said a couple days ago,
you want to know
something? Parading down Broad Street. Sileo will be live on the National Football Show. We need to pass the ball. We need to pass the ball,
like you guys do. When somebody says, "What little bitty thing like that," don't say anything about my boy Jalen Hurts.
If it ain't Sileo's way, he ain't happy. Well, guess what?
No. Hey, by the way, here we go. December 5th. Take a half a Vic. Wait a minute. Hey, watch this, folks. Hey, December 5th, Xander, take your halfway victory lap.
I'm not a half a sandwich kind of guy. That's a wise
Oh,
man
okay.
once said.
That's right, because last year Big Sills ate the whole thing. How you doing?
Big Sills didn't eat shit.
Xander and Seth ate half the sandwich. By the way,
well, congrats, and you've bounced back now with a complete empty plate. You maybe get a toasted slice of half
the same shit last year. Why are you ripping the team to 10-1? Why are you ripping the team to 10-2? I'm like, hang in there.
So
hang in there, youngster. Hang in there, youngster. You will get. Hang in there. You will get another schooling and another class lesson from the man himself, Big Sil.
Wait, we didn't get a chance to talk on the show yesterday, which felt a little. Felt a little different yesterday without being on the national football.
Hey, dude, I missed it too, man. I like you on this bitch.
But listen, we didn't get a chance to talk about the NCAA. Bama edges out your boys. How do you feel?
Deservingly so. Miami does not deserve to be in the tournament because they don't have a good enough defense. I know that I'm getting killed by Miami Hurricane fans, and I fucking don't care. That team is not good enough. You can't lose to Georgia Tech and Syracuse and go, hey, you know what? When you lose to Vanderbilt or you lose to any team in the Southeast, you know what Vanderbilt would do in the ACC? They'd be the second best team in the ACC. That's how good that conference is.
That was a bad loss. What do you think about Bama over
agree? If Vanderbilt is in the Big 12 or the ACC, they win 10 games.
What do you think
they won 9 this year.
What do you think about all the nerds who are crying about South Carolina? I'm like, all right, now South Carolina is a perennial football program. Fuck South Carolina. They don't deserve to get in.
Bama has 2 shitty losses, that Oklahoma loss and the Vandy loss. But
they had some good
wins. Quality wins.
Yeah,
they got quality wins on the roster. My problem is the coach. Okay? My problem is you can't have it here and then here. You can't go into Norman and get rolled.
Yeah, now what's the schedule look like this year? Because it's obviously a 12 playoff now. So normally they waited till January to play the game. Are they waiting?
No, they're gonna play. I think if they're in the Peach Bowl, I think they're playing. They play a semifinal game, then they play one of the byes, and if Alabama will play Oregon next.
Ooh,
after the opening round, they'll play Oregon.
Yeah, that's going to be
the lowest seeded.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Because
I think Bama can beat them. I don't think shit. I don't think
if I'm Oregon, that's the last thing I want. Yeah, see, that's what I laugh about. Everybody goes on Twitter and tweets, oh, fuck Alabama, F them this. Oh, why do they get the benefit of the doubt? And then everybody also doesn't want to play versus Alabama. Like, if you're Oregon, would you rather play versus Bama or South Carolina Gamecocks? You tell me.
Oh, by the way, hey, Prince, I also said Peyton Wilson, they should take it. Peyton Wilson's right now is 5th for the Rookie of the Year award. So fuck
I tell you what, that game tonight still is riddled with injuries.
Yes.
Green Bay's without Jair Alexander. Edgerrin Cooper, I think, is not playing as well. I think they have a guy on the D-line. I don't remember all the names off the top of my head, but there were some big names that were missing that game tonight. And then obviously Detroit's had some injuries. So that's going to be a great game tonight, dude. I can't wait.
Plus the loss. Oh, wait a minute. Excuse me, Prince. My bad. Crowley, you're the douche. La da ba douche. All right.
Prince, you're just out here catching strays, my guy.
No, Prince and I have a good relationship, I think. Sorry, brother. Okay? Sorry, brother. We both said we said that, Sills. He's right. Relax. I am relaxed. Hey, Crowley.
You don't seem too relaxed. You and John both, I've noticed.
No, you know what I had today?
The more games the Eagles win in a row, it's like the more grumpy these old heads become.
Actually, I had a really good night's sleep last night. It's why I'm feeling better and not as grumpy, is because my arthritis has been killing me and I have a limp right now. Now it's kind of gone away.
You're sitting in that chair. I told you when you got that chair, you might not have liked doing the show standing up, but it is better for you.
I know.
It's better for your posture. It's better for your joints. It's better for all that stuff, dude.
Killing my knees.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we got it.
I know. I got to figure. I'm going to figure that. We're gonna move everything around here. Anyway, you got your fucking list of quarterbacks.
Yeah, I got my list. You're gonna love it too.
Wait till you hear this. So usually on Tuesday I do the Big Sills top 10 NFL quarterbacks. Now,
well, remember the NFL list we did a couple days ago. Mine was superb. You had a trash list.
Okay. Remember this, folks. These are the 10 quarterbacks that are playing the best quarterback this year in the NFL. The men that are playing the best. Number 10, I have Matthew Stafford at number 10. Number 9, Justin Herbert, Los Angeles Chargers. Number 8, I freaking hate putting this guy here. Sam Darnold, Minnesota.
He's earned it. He's earned it. He's in my top 10 as well.
He's there. I hate it, but
he's in
there.
my 10 as well.
Number 7, Jordan Love.
He's rising quick.
He is.
Part of me feels like there's still a year back.
You know who's falling out of my top 10? CJ Stroud.
Yeah, he's falling quick. He might not. Do I have him on mine? Yeah, he's falling, brother. CJ Stroud doesn't look too good.
Jordan
and Purdy's falling too.
At number 7.
Wait, what was that? Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Jordan Love, 7.
I gotcha.
Number 6. I'm shocked this guy's in the conversation. Baker Mayfield.
Really good year, man.
40 touchdowns this year.
Really good year for Bake Show. Really good year.
Unbelievable. Number 5. This might be blasphemy. The man who's going after 3 NFL championships in a row, Patrick Mahomes.
Blasphemy. Literal blasphemy.
I got him.
You have him at 5?
5. Number 4. Come on. For the quarterbacks, listen up there, folkies. Having the best season in the NFL at the quarterback position. Number 4, from the Bengals, Joe Burrow. He's going to throw for maybe 50 touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I got him high on my list. Joe Burrow is an absolute beast. Don't get it twisted with that team.
Number 3, Lamar Jackson. Number 3. Number 2, guy you'll see tonight, Jared Goff. And number 1, the man, the myth, the legend, the front runner for the NFL's Most Valuable Player Award, Josh Allen. Buffalo Bills. Here's my top 10. Stafford, 10. Herbert, 9. Darnold, 8. Love, 7. Mayfield, 6. Mahomes, 5. Burrow, 4. Lamar Jackson, 3. Goff, 2. Josh Allen, number 1.
Not bad. Okay. Not your best list.
I can't wait to hear your shit list. Let's go.
Not your best list.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Here, go ahead. Let me hear it.
All right, ready?
Right.
Number 10, I got CJ Stroud. He's fallen mightily in the list, but he is down at 10, just squeaking in at
shit
10.
Pick. Go ahead.
No. Number 9, I got Baker Mayfield at number 9. What a season he's having. You got to tip your cap to him. Number 8, Sam Darnold. What a player. What a year he's having. Not what a player, but he's having a good year. Got to give him his credit. He's looked really good. Number 7, Justin Herbert. Something about him is missing, but you can see he's got all the talent in the world. There's something about him, Sills. What is missing? Because he's got everything you need. He's got the arm strength, the talent, the accuracy, the size, everything you need, the athleticism.
What they did to him, too? They pulled a Hurts on him. They took the ball out of his hand, and he ain't thrown it as much as he has in the past.
Well, to be fair, though, they were throwing it too much with him.
They were. And now hey, you want to hear? Hey, before you move on, you want to hear something fucked up here? Check this out. Here are the teams right now that have the best defenses right now when it comes to points surrendered. Do you know the Chargers are number 1? Here it is. The Chargers have given up the least amount of points in 12 games, 188. The Lions are second at 203. The Eagles are third at 218. This will win games. Least points, that's what wins. Eagles 218. Vikings 219. The Bills are at 224, and the Steelers are at 224. All those have one thing in common. What? Those are all the playoff contending teams that get to the NFC and AFC championships. and the Chargers are number 1 at 188. Jim Harbaugh runs the ball and plays. That's fucking nuts. I don't keep an eye on the Chargers. They follow me on Twitter, by the way, and I should. But that's crazy. So go ahead, move on.
Yeah, look at my boy Chuck. I'm one of those Gamecock nerds. Chuck, I love you, pal.
Hey, Chuck.
Roll Tide, Chucky.
Hey, Chuck, they got 2 edge rushers on that Gamecock team that are fucking amazing. And
it's
one
South
of them,
Carolina guy. It's a
those
fun,
South Carolina guys are going to play on Sunday, man.
It's a fun little bar scene. That's it. Come on. Don't
That's a great stadium, too. I played in that bitch.
All right, here we go. Number 6. All right, I'm down to 6. Yeah, 7 was Herbert. Number 6, Jared Goff. I think he could be higher right now, but I think the top 5 guys are locked in for me at the moment.
Oh, God.
Number 5, you're about to lose it. You're about to lose it. I got Lamar. He's fallen for me. I see too many mistakes. I see too many easy mistakes.
I don't have a problem with you putting him there. I'll have a problem with who you put above him.
I got Jalen Hurts at number 4. You're lucky I didn't go higher because you know what? I'm done with this bullshit of everybody wants a quarterback to look how they want them to look, and they cannot analyze what a quarterback is accomplishing without slanting it toward what they want. No, the guy is successful. Why should I care? Why should I value more what I want it to look like versus what's actually working in the highest level of football in the world?
If I put Jalen Hurts on an equally talented team that was equally talented, like let's use a NASCAR where they have those restrictor plates and everything is even. Would you want Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen to run that team? Would you want Jared Goff or Jalen Hurts to run that team? Would you want Lamar or Jalen Hurts to run that team? Would you want Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts to run?
But I can say the same thing about your list, dog. You had Jared Goff number 2. What the fuck are you talking about?
Jared Goff's won everywhere he's gone to. What's the fucking?
You take Jared Goff over the other guys you just named?
Jared Goff has done more than Hurts will ever do. He throws for 4,244.
He hasn't done more than Hurts will ever do. Such a stupid.
He has already. He has already. He has. Name me one thing he's done.
He's been in the league since 2016.
Okay, his second year he was in the Super Bowl.
He's got 5 more years on Hurts.
He was in the Super Bowl his second year.
So was Jalen.
Okay, but he throws for 4,500 yards and 35.
There you go. That's a perfect example. Okay. All Sileo cares about is that he throws for 4,500 yards. I don't give a shit how many yards he throws.
Hurts, get this, folks. He doesn't have anything that Hurts does better than Jared Goff. He doesn't have anything because Goff has been to 2 conference titles. He throws from the pocket. He wins from the pocket, and everywhere he's gone, he's transformed the franchise. Jeff Fisher was the coach. They didn't do dick. McVay comes in. They go to the Super Bowl. He goes to Detroit, a shithole. Not even Matthew Stafford could do anything up there. He was 0 for 3 in the playoffs. He goes up there, turns him into the favorite. What are you fucking talking about?
Okay.
Let's move on. Right. So who's next after?
Are you done? Boy? Are you done?
Who's your boy after the God?
Number 3, I got Patty Mahomes. Number 3. Number 2, I got Joe Burrow. Number 1, I got Josh Allen.
Okay. Jalen Hurts on a top 10 list.
Where was Hurts on yours? Because he was 9 on the week before. He wasn't on yours this week?
No, not this week. No. 114 yards doesn't get it done.
You're the passing yards king, bro. You really are.
No. I'm a quarterback king that you have to win from the pocket. You're gonna have to win a Super Bowl eventually. Hey, he's a mailman.
Look at Amber. Amber's pissed at me. He's like, you got the green glasses.
The mailman. Yeah, he's the mailman.
All right, well, we're creating a Hall of Fame of mailmen, and that's reserved for one person, not to disrespect any of our great postal workers.
Get this, folks.
Jalen Hurts is the greatest mailman in history.
So when Hurts got benched at Alabama, they got better. Gee, really? Maybe if you had a better quarterback, maybe Devontae could be part of an offensive scheme.
That's a rich mailman, man. I'll tell you what.
An overpaid mailman as far as I'm concerned.
I haven't seen a mailman that rich since the 2020 election when they were paying them dudes.
Man. Hey, Betty, he didn't mean it.
Oh, gosh. Aunt Betty. I got to get Aunt Betty on my. I need to go on like a couple week run to get Aunt Betty on my good side.
That's fucking funny, man. Hey, so you said something this week about Carolina. Hey, this will be the last one. Then we'll get to some of the supers here because we got Farzi coming up here. You're not concerned about this game this weekend, not at all, right?
I'm not taking it lightly. You got too much at stake to take a week off. You got 17 of these games. Lock in. I don't give a shit who you're playing. If I'm now this is just me, but I would do my very best to not let the human nature get to you, to treat this game exactly like you treated the Ravens game, to continue to knock down each pin. I don't care. Take the stickers off the helmets. I don't give a shit who I'm playing. Other than game planning, I don't care who I'm playing. Go in, destroy them, keep winning, keep getting better, and do what you got to do. It's obviously winning this week does nothing for us other than get us one step closer to that goal. And that's what we're going for. I don't care about beating the Panthers. I want to get the 1 seed. I want to get into the playoffs. I want to play my best football.
You know what I found out about great teams and when you're on a great team? You don't really know what your record is every week. You just get up there and play your best. And then you're reminded of it by the media and such because they come so quick. Let's do the supers. We got Farzi coming up on the other side here. So let's do that. By the way, great stuff as always, Xander.
Yeah, thank you. Senor says Stafford replaced Goff like Tua replaced Hurts.
Stafford won a Super Bowl, and then Goff went up there and put the Lions in the NFC title game.
Nick Marchetti says Sills trying to find something wrong with a rookie. Nick, it's ridiculous. This guy is nuts.
I gave him compliments because he fit a system that they drafted him for. That's a fucking lie. Nobody said anything negative about Q. Nothing.
Nick, you spent $1.99 to get Sileo in a tizzy. I love it. That's a great $2 spent right there. That's better than a candy bar.
That's what I am.
Better than a candy bar and a vending machine right there. Dirty D. Dak will never throw 5 picks in a game.
It sounds like Rhonda now. Go ahead.
Dak will never throw 5 picks in a game and win. Well, Jared Goff can thank his team for that one. Dirty D.
Okay. No comment.
Okay. I hope we can see Q shadow a guy all game one time.
Doesn't no. Why?
Not going to happen.
But not in Vic's system.
Ramsey sucked in Vic's defense. That's because he was playing zone, different corner.
It's not a rip.
All right, you got these right. Q.
Yeah, I got it. Wait. Q plays 5 yards off the. Yeah, I got that one.
Goff I brought that up, Lucius, on this segment. Goff had a game where he passed for 85 yards. Don't tell Sills that. He just.
But that's an anomaly with the.
Certain stats. It's just like a flow.
That's an anomaly, though. He doesn't do. Yeah, that's right.
Wait
a minute. Hey, Lucius, a guy who throws for 4,500 yards every year. That's right. He throws for 85. No, it's your guy who throws for $102 and like a touchdown. And he's the guy that throws for $102 in yards.
I'll tell you what. You know what Sileo and McMullen have made me? I am a miserable person in my family to get into an argument with. If you get into an argument with me, you're in trouble because Sileo and John have me on the defensive a lot.
Wait, let me tell you this, Andrew. You know the key? Here, I'm going to give you a little insight about the Sileo family. You ready? It's not about the facts, dog. It's who hollers the loudest.
Yeah. And I might have even gotten the better of you in that regard.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, that's right.
Jason says Hurts and Goff have done the same shit. Only Goff being in the league longer. One NFC championship.
Actually, he hasn't. He's gone to 2 NFC title games. Try reading a book, kid, and get back.
Okay, and he lost the other one. So who gives a shit?
Well, Jalen can't lose to Baker Mayfield and getting murdered.
Dude, he's got way smaller of a sample size, though.
Okay, I'm just asking you, what has he done?
Compare Goff to Dak.
Jared Goff's superior to Dak.
Okay, good. I agree. They've had the same amount of time in the league, basically, and Goff has done way more.
Oh, God, this is exhausting.
Wait, no, but be fair.
Who was in
Jalen's draft class?
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember second rounders.
You fucking asshole.
2021.
You were a second rounder, jerk off. You don't remember yourself now?
Yeah. Boy, some of you guys in here, man, you guys are on fentanyl.
All right, ready? Joe Burrow was in that class.
Tua. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Take him.
I'm not saying take him over, but these are who I want to compare. Joe Burrow has the same achievements as Jalen Hurts. He's won a title,
You're right.
an AFC title, and Jalen Hurts has won.
You're right. Right. You're right. So you take
Hurts taking 5th overall.
You take Hurts. I'll take Burrow.
Okay, great. Who else? What other quarterbacks were taken? Jordan Love, he's done dick. Jalen has done more than him. Same year, drafted same year as Jalen Hurts.
Oh, he won a
Who
playoff
else?
game in his first year starting.
Who else? Who else was drafted with Jalen?
He won a first playoff game in his first year starting.
Don't give a shit. Hasn't done as much as Hurts. Brian says, I
boy's
got
2 and
stinky
3
butt Hurts.
also in the playoffs. Your boy's 2 and 3 in the playoffs. You're making it sound like he's been fucking murdering people. He's been annihilated by Baker Mayfield.
I got stinky butt Hurts as the 26th QB. You butt pirates are mad for no reason.
I have no idea what that. Hey, there you go, bro. Brian, that's my boy. I love you, man. All right, Farzad is coming up here, man.
Arthur says, bring Seth on. No, thanks. We're good on Seth. He doesn't want to come on anymore. He posted Hurts' numbers versus Allen's. I don't give a shit about those numbers, by the way. Here we go. Read a book. If he didn't win the second one, it didn't happen. Make me a sandwich.
Just ridiculous. All right. Yeah.
All right. Have a good segment with Farz.
Yeah, you bet, man. I appreciate it very much. Holy cow, man. Hey, by the way, I happen to agree with Brian Westbrook yesterday, who came on the program, who said that if that number was within reach, you go for it. And I've got another topic that I'm going to talk to Mark Farzetta here. By the way, kicks off our broadcasting here on JAKIB Sports. We appreciate that right before Birds 365. He is my friend. He also is the espresso king, cappuccino. I don't know. I thought I saw on that machine he could do both. Okay? So I'm going to assume it's espresso with this guy. So is it 3 sugars or 2 sugars that keeps him going all the time? To me, it'd be 4 sugars. Mark Farzetta, our good friend. Farzy, how you doing, brother?
Sugar? Sugar? Okay. What am I, French? Okay. I'm drinking black. I drink it straight up. Okay. With no pinky in the air, because again, I'm not French. But and yeah, friend, I make it all. Okay. I make it all. Just had a little cousin's giving. Had one cousin coming over from London. She lives over there now. Her husband, Ben, great guy. He's amazed by my espresso bar. I was making cappuccinos, Americanos, espressos, double espressos. I make one latte for one person on the planet. My lovely cousin-in-law, Beth. She's the only person I know that actually drinks at-home lattes, so I make her a latte. I make like 2 lattes a year. She finishes them, so I assume they're pretty good. But with that thing, baby, I do it all. I do it all. You know what I'm saying? Do it all.
I love that, man. What a great holiday there, having all the folks around. And I can just see you handing out the little teacups with your pinkies up like
Have you ever been to Isgro in South Philly? Have you ever been down Isgro, South Philly?
I've been
like
down
9th Street area, Thai market. They would, when I was a kid, around this time, I'd be going down there like two or three times, leading up to Christmas with my dad and some of my uncles. And there was always Santa. I won't say it was a terrible Santa outfit, but it wasn't great. Okay. And the guy would be out with little shots of anisette. What is it?
Amaretto.
With amaretto, anisette, sambuca, and he would just walk around with a little tray. And I'm like 10 years old. I'm like, oh, Dad, can I? He's like, don't even touch it. But that's how people would kill the winter chill down 9th Street.
Well, let me tell you how my grandpa would handle Santa. So we're going down the street, and this Santa guy, he's ringing a bell, and he's trying to raise money for people there because for the poor and all this and that, Salvation Army.
Yeah.
My grandfather rolls his window down. He goes, "Hey, get a job, you bum." And I go like this to the guy, and I go, "Gramp, that's Santa Claus. What are you doing?" He goes, "I know the guy's a bum." And so that's the kind of holiday spirit and love I was raised on there. He's Santa. Get a job, you bum. And I'm like, we could have fit in Philly too. You guys threw rocks at Santa, snowballs at Santa Claus.
Allegedly.
Look at him go to the defense of that. Allegedly. All right. Hey, Farzy, we had on Brian Westbrook yesterday, and I asked this question. What do you think the Eagles will do here? If you are 100 yards shy of that 2105, you've wrapped up home field advantage. Westbrook said, he goes, I'm lining everyone up and we're going to go get that record because it's an organizational record. The 5 guys who blocked all year would want that record. His ego. Hey, I signed a guy who broke Dickerson's 40-year record from the in-division opponent and rival of the Giants and put him on my team. Remember this. I think his career was wasted in New York. And so does Westbrook think that because they never built a team around him.
Sure.
Now you're talking about building a resume for future Hall of Fame conversations. You know, they get to the Super Bowl. He wins an MVP. He has the all-time single-season rushing. But it doesn't seem like that is a high priority to him. But would it be a high priority to the organization for them to have that number? If they're within 100 yards, if they're 200 yards, I get it. But if you're 100 yards shy of it, what do you do?
I mean, if I'm the Eagles, I want that record. I want it for one name in particular, Jeff Stoutland. I mean, there's what great feather in the cap of Stoutland University. I don't know what they call those things at graduation that they give the doctors with the rings on the sleeves or whatever, but like that'd be kind of, yeah, that right. Me neither. So those, you know what, those things, that's what they're called, those things. But how many of that would it be for Jeff Stoutland to have that? You know what I'm saying? To have with this offensive line, because I put it like this. There is no better, if you can call it a combo, there's no better 1-2 punch than Saquon Barkley running behind this offensive line. There is nothing more dominant than that. And there's no greater exclamation point than going and getting that record. However, unfortunately, as a city, and ultimately I root for the city, what we want is a parade. Like, we don't get a parade for the rushing title, or for the all-time rushing record. It's a great thing. He's 108 yards away from breaking LaShawn McCoy's team record of most rushing yards in a season. That's going to happen. But when it comes to the all-time record, a record that has stood for so long, a record that has come close to being broken by Adrian Peterson, some years ago, it would be phenomenal to break it. But all in all, what's the best interest of the city and really long-term for the team is making sure Saquon Barkley is as healthy as possible. If you're 100 yards away, last game of the season, or in a game that you have everything wrapped up, I am all about making sure Saquon Barkley, and the most dangerous combo in all of football, him behind that offensive line, is as healthy as possible going into the playoffs. That's all. That's ultimately what matters. Would it be a great thing? Would it be awesome? Absolutely. But would be even better is to know that I have a healthy Saquon Barkley behind this offensive line going through the postseason and then into a Super Bowl.
You know, you brought up a point that I hadn't thought of here, that, now they have a conversation now, and now they have a category for Hall of Fame coaches that are contributors like Dick LeBeau. Can you imagine, with a Super Bowl ring already with Jeff Stoutland? He also has the offensive line that broke the all-time single-season mark. You're talking about a guy who could put himself into Canton with all those accolades there, with all the All-Pros, with all the Hall of Famers that he's going to put in. There's already a conversation now to put him in the Hall of Fame with the amount of players that he's had. But I'm saying, if you have that record plus 2 Super Bowl rings, I mean, most of the time contributors like that don't get put in. But, I mean, and I know Dick LeBeau is a former player too, but wouldn't that be something that the organization would want for Stoutland as well? Like you said, I mean, you add that to his resume, Mark. I mean, that makes the case even stronger when he's being considered.
And he has the title of run game coordinator as well, not just offensive line coach, but he coordinated a run game that was better than any in the history of the NFL. If, of course, they break that record. And I'm rooting for it. I hope it happens in the next couple of games before we start worrying about or considering resting players and all that stuff. But I know one thing for sure is going to get broken, and that's at least LaShawn McCoy's record, and that is significant to this team. I love the idea that when he broke the record in LA against the Rams, he went right to his offensive lineman and he said, "We got it. We got it. We broke Shady's record." And he was high-fiving all the guys. So I can only imagine what it would be like if he's able to break Eric Dickerson's record and just have that in the feather in the cap of Jeff Stoutland as well.
Help me out here on this. And since 2022, when they were running those RPOs, and I was glad to see them in that Ravens game where we saw more RPOs. And by the way, they're running it now at a 20% clip, 22% clip since the bye week, which is by far and away the most of any team in the NFL. Do you have a problem with a 28th ranked passing attack the number one running attack, and there's such imbalance of it where, explain to me here, Mark, Kellen Moore was brought in not to improve the run game. That was already a great run game. You've been great for 14 years running the ball. He was brought in to run an offense. I'm starting to look at sometimes with Devontae Smith, like I don't even know he's not on the field anymore. I mean, it just doesn't seem that has become a priority. Now, look, when you've got a thoroughbred like Secretariat, you're not going to put it in the barn and go, let's just throw the ball. But where that I counter that is like, take a look at those first 15, 20 plays. They're constantly throwing the ball into the worst first quarter offense because they're throwing the ball. Then they get smart and they go back to Barkley. Do you think Kellen Moore has improved this offensive passing attack since 22? Because, again, I mean, I don't see where. I mean, it's almost to me, Mark, the best thing happened to the Eagles this year was those receivers getting hurt. Because would they have really gone to running the ball with that effectiveness if they had all those guys? You know, there's only been 3 games this year that Goddard, Devontae, and AJ have played. I'm wondering, would they have considered doing exactly what they do in the first quarter, still like they did in 23 by throwing the ball more? Because you paid those guys. They're $51 million out there. Tell me how you're seeing this.
I'm seeing this as Lane Johnson's influence, the offensive line's influence, because just like we just talked about with Jeff Stoutland as the run game coordinator, if there's a assistant to the run game coordinator, that's Lane Johnson. And that goes back to early days of Doug Peterson. That goes back to Carson Wentz. It goes to Nick Foles. And it certainly goes in with Jalen Hurts as well. The guy that is most likely to on the field be calling for the run game is Lane Johnson. And who is one of the guys after the bye week that went up to the office with the open door policy and Nick Sirianni and said, hey, you know, we signed Saquon Barkley, right? You know, we're consistently one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in all the football, right? Maybe we should run the ball. If you want to talk about identity of a team, if you want to talk about bread and butter of a team, Saquon Barkley running behind us is a pretty damn good idea. So let's do that. I also give credit to Jalen Hurts as well, who at the bye went into that office as well and said, hey, what's our identity going to be with this team? Because we do have Saquon Barkley back there. I don't know if it's so much the wide receivers getting hurt, first A.J. Brown, then Devontae Smith, and only having those guys together for a limited time. But I think it has more so to do with the leaders on this team realizing that they have the most powerful weapon. And that's, again, Saquon running behind this line. So they'd be fools not to use it. And one of the things that just baffled me, because you touched on the early starts here, the starts for the Eagles, how they're always slow. It's an insane thing to me. And this Ravens game was a perfect example of it because they ran it with Saquon Barkley. I think it was the first play of the game. They got 12 yards. And then they decided, I can't remember the order, run with Will Shipley, swing pass to Britton Covey?
Yeah.
What the hell is that? But all in all, I think what clicked for this team was at the bye week. They said, look, let's do this for a while until it doesn't work anymore, which is run with Saquon. It hasn't stopped working, so they're just going to keep on doing it. And here's what I find fascinating about it. If they do start slow in the run game, in the days of Doug Peterson, in the days of Andy Reid, and even the days of Chip Kelly, if it didn't work, you just forgot about it. I mean, that's a question for Brian Westbrook. He knows all too well about it. But with this team, they just keep going because they know by the end of the third quarter, by the start of the fourth quarter, again, no better example than this Ravens game, that D-line is going to be worn out by getting the break speed off them by this offensive line. And there's going to be a huge hole there for Saquon. So for me, I think mostly it comes down to that bye week, everybody in that locker room, most notably Nick Sirianni and Lane Johnson, and also Jalen Hurts, had a come-to-Jesus moment and said, hey, look, this is how dominant we could be with Saquon Barkley, who's been added to our roster behind this offensive line. Let's keep going to that well until it's dry. And so far, it's still got plenty of water down in that well, and I think the Eagles are going to keep going to it.
Okay, let's do this now. Let's use the Ravens as an example, especially last year when they won 14 ball games. They went 14-3. When you're looking at that offense and you see the amount of games and you see the amount of wins that they have had over the last 2 years, the Ravens, people would look at that and go, that's a regular season team that's built for regular season wins. When they got into the postseason, when they had to throw the ball against Kansas City and they stopped the run. Okay. When you stop the run in Baltimore, can Baltimore really throw the ball 40 times and win a ball game? I don't think they can, Mark. And I don't think the Eagles can throw the ball 40 times and win a ball game. Do you know that they're averaging 20 attempts right now since the bye? And that's because they're running the ball more. Obviously, I'm not saying don't. But I'm saying, do you think that this offense has a chance to struggle when you play better defenses, better coaches, hotter teams in the postseason, and when you need to rely on the pass? Do you think that's easy as just flipping a switch where you haven't done it really in a year and a half? Do you think they're going to be able to do that in the playoffs this year if it's needed? Say that the running game, for whatever reason. I mean, if you think about it, the last game, the Ravens held them to 250 yards in total offense. You know, there was just some shitty decision makings that were going on by Lamar Jackson. I thought he played terrible in that game, but they still had 5 yards of carry, and they kind of held the Eagle offense down to one of their second lowest. I guess the Bucs was the lowest at 229, but that was 252. So, I mean, you run into problems in the playoffs. You know that. You have to have an opportunity to win at both levels. Can they do it, in your opinion?
I believe they can. The number one reason is if you look at this Ravens game, let's just look at the run defense for a second. This is one of the best run defenses, I believe second best in the NFL. And both Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley, as well as the O-line, said, yeah, well, you haven't played us yet. And then they still went over 100 yards in that regard. And that's what you want in an offense. That's what you want in a rushing offense. Then when it came down to it and Jalen had to throw the ball over the middle, which, oh, my God, I thought he couldn't do. They run that read option play. He pulls the ball. He pulls the ball from the belly of Saquon Barkley and slings it over the middle to a slanting A.J. Brown. If the Eagles' main table has bread and butter of Saquon running the football, the other bread and butter is play action over the middle on a slant to A.J. Brown. Like, even A.J. Brown said,
can't defend it.
No, and A.J. said after the game, he was asked the question, were they doing something in that second half? Because in that second quarter, you had, I believe it was 3 consecutive plays where 2 of them were over the middle. The one was, I think, down the sideline, that were play action over the middle, 3 catches, 44 yards. And I believe that was the touchdown that led up to the Dallas Goedert touchdown against the Ravens. But it was right there. They wanted to go to it. They went to it. Bang. 44 yards like it was nothing. Then after the game, he's being asked, hey, did they take that away in the second half? He was like, no, we were running the ball down their throats, so we weren't going to do anything other than do that. And the other part of it is that at the 3rd and 7, on what was the game-sealing drive for the Eagles, I think it was a 7-play drive where Saquon capped it off with a 25-yard touchdown run. They faced a 3rd and 7. Dallas Goedert ran that little rub route that, not to overuse the term, another bread and butter play there for the Eagles. Dallas Goedert streaks across the middle of the field, 3rd and 7. Jalen Hurts hits him in stride. They get a 9-yard gain. They convert the first down. Then for the remainder of that drive, it was only 3 plays. They never saw a second down. So if he needs to be on the money, he could be on the money. You're talking about a guy that, yes, although far fewer attempts than Josh Allen, has the higher completion percentage than Josh Allen. And if he needs to be clutch, if he needs to be on the money, he can do that. If the Eagles need to shift, they can do it. But they just went up against one of the best run defenses, if not the best run defenses in all the NFL. Roquan Smith still played himself a hell of a game against the Eagles. And they still got over 100 yards with Saquon Barkley. And Jalen Hurts, with the run game or pass game, mostly in this case the run, was still able to keep the Ravens guessing. So, yeah, fine. You want to get into the playoffs. You want to face a better defense that's going to try to take away that run. Well, the Ravens tried to do it, and they weren't successful in doing it. And the Eagles were able to take advantage of it. But if they need to flip the switch, I do believe, especially with a healthy Devontae Smith, that the Eagles can flip that switch.
You think that Jalen's gotten better as a passer?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't see Saquon Barkley being phenomenal as a detriment to Jalen Hurts. Here's where Jalen Hurts has gotten better this year. I've never seen him at least attempt to look off a safety the way he's tried to look off safeties this year. I haven't seen him go through a progression the way he has this year. In terms of accuracy, I think he's a much more accurate quarterback. The idea of him finally kicking the turnover bug that he was sick with for almost a full year is amazing to me. And I know a lot of people who are doubting him say, no, this is who he is now. This is who he's going to be. I thought it was just something that he had to correct. And I know I never bet against a guy that has even a little bit of talent and then a huge work ethic. And I think that's what Jalen Hurts is. So I was confident he was going to get out of the turnover fiasco that he was putting himself in and get away from hero ball. But I haven't seen him look off safeties the way he has this year. I haven't seen him be able to complete those passes over the middle with such confidence as he has this year. And that was a huge thing, even in the beginning of this 8-game winning streak. Can he throw over the middle? He's now doing that with more regularity, and he has confidence in the receivers catching the football over the middle as well. So I think that's something that has helped him tremendously. And then, look, the supporting cast is phenomenal. Like, there's no quarterback in the NFL that wouldn't like, oh, I could play for the Eagles for a little bit. Oh, that sounds pretty good. A.J. Brown being healthy, Devontae Smith being out is obviously tough. But the confidence he has in this receiving core now, I think, has helped elevate everything. And also the idea of, whoa, I don't have to throw for 300 yards. I don't have to throw for 300. I got, as Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown have alluded to, I got Superman in the backfield where all I got to do is that. Okay. But I think a lot of pressure has been taken off of Jalen Hurts. You want to talk about hero ball, and I believe that's also what led into a lot of the interceptions and turnovers. He doesn't have to be a hero. You're going to be a hero when you got Superman standing behind you? You step aside and you go, all right, I'm just going to let this guy take over. So I think a lot of it has calmed the nerves of Jalen Hurts. And again, if they need to, similar in the Ravens game, if they need to start throwing it a little bit like they did in the second quarter of that game, I have confidence that Jalen Hurts can still throw the football.
We're going to definitely see that here coming up here, especially now as they're getting closer to the playoffs here. I've got to flip you over to the defensive side now.
Oof.
Boy, I'll tell you, man. And by the way, I'll show you something here that if you look at it, the Miami Dolphins right now are 7th in defense. They're having a great year, okay? And what people don't understand, sometimes coordinators fit players and players fit systems. Last year, Jalen Ramsey didn't want to play press, or excuse me, zone. He's a press corner. Well, they're 6th right now in pass defense. They're 10 times better than they were a year ago. Here in Philly, they play that zone defense. They only play press 2.3% of the time, so they're mostly in that zone. With guys they drafted, Farzi, this isn't a rip. They have got guys that play the Vic system, and what Vic has done, he utilizes every single guy's strength, almost like a Jim Johnson. And it's like, look, now, Nakobe doesn't really cover guys that great, but let me rush him. He fills the hole well. Kid's having a renaissance year. Zach Bond, he didn't even know what the hell he had. He thought he was a perimeter rusher when they got him from the Saints, right? What I'm saying is, how impressed has he had more of an impact on this defense than what even Jim Schwartz had? When Jim Schwartz, and again, it's hard to say that because Schwartz ended up going through the tape and winning a Super Bowl, but do you see more here with what you're watching here with Vic than you did with even Jim Schwartz?
Well, first off, I have to ask you: Did you see the story of Vic Fangio correcting Howie Roseman? I mean, there's no other way to put it than that. Howie brought tape. The story was out there that Vic Fangio watched Zach Bond and went, "Oh yeah, that guy's my inside off-ball linebacker." I thought that was it. But apparently, Howie brought the film to Vic Fangio and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about this guy for special teams and an edge rusher. What do you think?" And Vic Fangio looked at the tape and went, "Yeah, no, I think he's my off-ball inside linebacker." And Howie's like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, get him here." And he got him here, and now he's been one of the best linebackers in football.
Hey, do you know where else he took a shot at Howie? I'll tell you where else Vic took a shot at Howie that nobody's talking about. He goes like this. He was talking about, he goes, yeah, you think you can just sign a guy and all of a sudden plug a guy in and he could be a 3-down guy and you could just throw a guy out there and just put him out there and that's just going to be. It don't work like that. I think he was talking about Bryce Huff.
Yeah, I can see why you draw that connection. Absolutely. But to your question, as wonderfully as we can all talk about Saquon Barkley and his impact in this Eagles offense and what he's done for this team, like people in Philadelphia are talking about 2 acquisitions. They're talking about Saquon Barkley and they're talking about the defensive coordinator.
Unbelievable.
Now, I believe threefold. One is the obvious, the production, what you've gotten, and especially what you've gotten out of young corners, and we'll get to that, I'm sure, but that's the obvious, the production. The other is that you were told for the last 3 seasons that this was a Vic Fangio defense. What you were seeing is a Vic Fangio defense. And Sills, I remember when you and I talked at the time when Fangio was hired, I said, hey, we could have just had the Vic Fangio cover band. And we all know the cover band isn't as good as the guys that actually put out the real hits. You know what I mean? So I'm curious to see what the real band would do. And so far, the real band has been phenomenal. But we are very familiar in Philadelphia with the Vic Fangio cover bands. But now we got the real deal. Then the other part of this that I just find absolutely amazing is just that last year it was so bad. We make a big deal out of Jalen Hurts having all these different offensive coordinators, play callers, right, in his career. How about this defense that literally had 2 in one season, 2 defensive play callers in one season, and they were 10-3 before they decided, all right, let's make a change here at defensive coordinator as far as who's going to be making the play calls. We're going to go to Matt Patricia and not the Sean Desai guy, who was a direct disciple, the closest direct disciple. I saw somebody use the word acolyte the other day, the acolyte of Vic Fangio, and that was an abysmal failure. So these 3 things, you put them together and you just watch Vic Fangio work. You hear, fourfold. You mentioned Miami. How about the guys in Miami talking about Vic Fangio? Oh, this guy's too old school and this guy's a jerk or whatever. And then you got Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, one of the youngest guys on the team that is supposed to be of the newest of new school players, if you will. Supposedly has a bad work ethic and all that. And Vic Fangio is breaking his stones over not saying hello to him.
I know.
Like that lets you know that this guy is a coach that nothing's going to get under his radar. So you better impress him. And then this as a former player better than anybody. If a coach is going to call you out, that better be something you heard before some reporter heard it.
Absolutely.
And I don't think there's anything Vic Fangio that he says in his press conferences that he hasn't already relayed to his team. And real quick example that he's talking about, I believe it was Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo. And the question was, why Rodgers over Ringo? And he told you.
Yeah.
He didn't be like, well, they're both great players. They're both working hard, and I love them both. No, he said, these guys, they're working hard, but right now Rodgers has been a little bit better in man coverage, and we want to use that a little bit more. So Ringo, not yet for Ringo. And I just thought that's an honest answer that I'm sure both those players had heard already.
Absolutely. Here, let me throw this at you here. I like Cooper DeJean more than I like Quinion Mitchell. I just there's something when you know what, and I'll tell you, and I'll make a comparison, and you tell me if you see this. He reminds me of what John Lynch used to do with that Buccaneer defense, where he would set the tone with big hits. He would be with energy out there. Hey, maybe Rondé was the better player out there at the corner position. Maybe you had better linebackers with Derek Brooks. You obviously had Sapp and you had Simeon Rice and all them guys. But John Lynch was like a tone setter, like Cam Chancellor was with that Legion of Boom in Seattle. And so when I see him, ever since they put him in that lineup, there's just been an energy and something I feel with youth on that side of the ball. And by the way, this is not a diss on Q at all. They're both having really great years, but I'm like, there's something about this kid. And plus, I'm not going to lie, man, that highlight reel is going to go around with him, Teacup and D. Henry, man. You're going to get a lot of love for. I vote for NFL Rookie of the Year defensively, and I've got to tell you, man, that would be on my screensaver if I were him. Me, Teacup, and D. Henry like that. So I don't know, man. What about you? He just brings something to that defense that's just a little different.
Well, okay. Here's my problem. You mentioned Defensive Rookie of the Year. So Jared Verse out there in LA, he's got the
amazing. He's number 1 right now. I have Q second. I have the kid Fiske third, and I have Cooper DeJean fourth right now.
Yeah. How about so we love the Eagles, rookie class.
No, but
obviously
we still got 5 games to go.
Oh yeah. No. But what I'm saying is, we in Philly, obviously we love the Eagles class, but the Rams did a pretty nice job as well. So let's just get that out of the way.
Don't forget the kid Kitchens, who's been the Defensive Rookie of the Year twice, or Rookie of the Week twice. I mean, NFC Defensive Player of the Week twice, not rookie. So they are really drafting well out there themselves with Les Snead and Kevin Demoff.
Yeah. Those guys have a lot of the sexy numbers. I went back and I looked at, all right, corners to win. All right, so you look at Sauce Gardner. He only had 2 interceptions. Okay, when he won Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Everybody else had, I think it was at least 5. Going back to 1992, they had at least 5 interceptions. They had tackles for loss. They had interception returns for touchdowns. And Quenyon doesn't even have an interception yet. Now, here's what I'll say. Quenyon Mitchell is so damn good. He does not get the opportunities that some other corners get when it comes to coverage, because quarterbacks aren't looking his way. So a lot of times he doesn't get those opportunities to come up with interceptions. There's been 1 or 2 this season that maybe slipped through his hands. One was broken up by Chauncey Gardner-Johnson at home. That would have been his first pick, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be.
Mark, do you think him playing in a zone, though, also hurts him? Because at the end of the day, when people keep bringing up press corner, he's not. He's a zone corner. They play 2.3% of the time in press. Most of it, 98% of the time, they're in a zone cover. By the way, his closing speed, his angle tackling, all of that is exceptional. And it's why they don't throw there, is because he closes that gap. And it's why they throw more to Slay's side, because Slay doesn't have that closing speed like he once had. That's why they're more over there. It's not a rip. It's just, I wonder if that zone defense takes a little bit of that away, because, again, the lack of INTs and the lack of him playing in a press. You know, you don't look at him like Jalen Ramsey. Okay, he fits. He's in a perfect system. You know, people look at that and go, he's right. I'm not fucking ripping him. I'm telling you, he's just in a different, perfect system for them, and that's why they're succeeding.
To answer your question about the 2 of them, Cooper DeJean and Quenyon Mitchell, what I find really interesting is that I think Cooper said it, but I know Quenyon said it as well when they did their first press conferences at minicamp. And when they were asking about how complex Vic Fangio's scheme can be, I know Quenyon was like, yeah, we did this.
Toledo.
We did, like, I did this in Toledo. Like, this isn't that different. And I'm like, oh, well, that's interesting. That seems like a perfect fit.
Yep.
And then the other thing was Vic Fangio in training camp, he won't call a corner. He won't call a nickel corner a nickel corner.
Yeah.
He'll only refer to him as nickel. So he puts a real thick, fat line between those 2 positions. And I'm watching Quenyon Mitchell and I'm watching Cooper DeJean, and I go, oh, there's that big, fat line that he was talking about as a line of demarcation. Corners on this side, nickels on this side. And Cooper DeJean has those opportunities to go up to the line of scrimmage and make a hit, i.e. no better example than Derrick Henry, and play that aggressive game. And that's because I think he still skews, not that he's a safety, but skews more to that safety role than Quenyon Mitchell does, and plays more to that physical, more physical
Mark, to your
capabilities.
point, Vic even said it in a presser that the slot nickel that DeJean plays in is more of a safety position than more of a corner position. He goes, it's more with that skill set there. So you're right. He has lines in the middle of the field and how he defines people. Dead on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fascinating because one of the things I absolutely love about Vic Fangio is it's just, I love people that are no BS. You know,
yeah.
I just love people that are like, hey, here's the opinion that's between your eyes. Deal with it. That's on you. Okay, I said it. You got to deal with it. I don't care. So when he's talking about things in his press conference, and I find them so enlightening, and I wish every coach would be like him, because he doesn't throw players viciously under the bus to stick his chest out.
No.
He's very matter of fact. So a lot of things that he says, it's the rare occasion where you hear a coach say something and then you actually see it play out on the field. I'll give you another example. So yes, they play a lot of zone and all that. However, after the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game where Baker Mayfield torched them, like getting rid of the ball in less than a second and a half, almost every snap, he said, well, usually I give my corners the option of playing at the line of scrimmage or playing back. And I remember hearing that and going, and I remember hearing and going, whoa, hold on. You're getting torched like that. You don't have a mandate as a coordinator, as an adjustment to get the hell up on the line of scrimmage and start making stops. Give your defensive line a chance.
I love
if they're
that.
struggling, give them a chance. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then after the bye week, just like we could talk about all the adjustments in the world and trusting the run game, and listening to Lane Johnson, listening to Jordan Mailata, listening to Jalen Hurts and all that, we could talk about the same thing with Vic Fangio. I don't believe that Darius Slay, Quenyon Mitchell, and then Cooper DeJean, who was activated after that, I don't believe that they went up to him and be like, hey, I'd really like to play press coverage. but you've seen more of the press coverage because I believe after that, if they're struggling getting home and getting after the quarterback or at least speeding up his clock with pressures or hits or whatever, I believe that was a mandate from Vic Fangio saying, yeah, get the hell up on the line of scrimmage. The option is gone. I'm no longer giving you the option. If we're struggling, it's an adjustment we're making. Get up on the line of scrimmage and jam that guy.
Two last ones here for you. At the end of this season, I was in this camp, and then over the last month, I've actually switched this camp, and I'll tell you what it is. I know that everybody's pressing right now to get Zach Bond a contract and wanting him to sign a contract, but I would make this point to you. Sorry, man. The number one priority for me is Micaiah Becton. That guy is blowing people off the ball for. Brian Westbrook said yesterday, he goes, I can't believe how large he is, and I can't believe the amount and how fast he's adapted. You know what it reminds me of, too, as far as it was like when you guys drafted Landon. Landon was the heir apparent to Jason Kelsey's replacement. All of a sudden, you realize you got maybe the top 3 guard in the NFL at left guard there with Landon Dickerson. You're not moving that guy. You're going to keep that guy there. People are talking about, well, no, you could be the heir apparent over there to Lane. I don't know, man. That guy's probably going to make the Pro Bowl this year, and he could fight for one of the top 3 positions on the All-Pro team. He is just, it's incredible. He's playing great. Who would you think is more of a priority for them? Micaiah Becton in the run game, or having a guy like Zach Bond sign a contract who's 27 years old? Let's not forget that as well. What would be your preference?
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to answer the question, and then I'm going to ask you a question. So
okay.
I'm not going to go full douchebag guest. Okay. I'm not going to, let me answer your question. Let me ask you a question. No, I'm going to answer Zach Bond.
Okay.
Zach Bond is my priority. Now here's why. How many successful linebackers have the Eagles had over the last 20 years? How many successful right guards have the Eagles had over the last 20 years? They've had a crap ton more right guards than they have linebackers. I see a guy that's working great in this system with this defensive coordinator that I've been pining over. He's been next to hand-picked by this defensive coordinator. I am keeping Zach Bond here for as long as humanly possible. But here's the twist. Whenever people look at the salary cap and they go, well, you can't sign them both. You can't do it. It's impossible. You never know who's going to get restructured. You never know whose deal is going to get pushed and money pushed somewhere else and whatever. I would not be surprised at all if Howie waves that Howie wand and all of a sudden there's magic and both are back here. That would not surprise me at all. You look at Patrick Mahomes signed that mega huge Kajunga deal, and then 20 minutes later it was restructured to make room for other signings. I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happened with Jalen Hurts after this season, where money just gets pushed back so they can solidify their offensive line, keep it that way, and also keep Zach Bond here in Philadelphia. So that, for me, is what I think Howie Roseman is going to be working on the most this summer.
Okay, so then you're under the impression they're going to change their philosophy and pay linebackers.
Yes, because they changed their philosophy.
Even though they haven't, they're going to.
Well, yeah.
Because like Barkley, they changed it with Barkley. They gave him 9. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they see what the advantages that is now, because I'll tell you, Mark, this is the first time they've actually lined up the running back position, not to take a shit on Miles and DeAndre Swift, but they've actually lined up the talented O-line with a talented running back, and this is what you're getting. You're getting this type of production. So you think they're going to do that, and they're going to change their philosophy and parachute in with a $12, $15 million deal for a year for Zach Bond?
Well, they changed their philosophy. Instead of thinking, hey, let's get someone like Vic Fangio, let's get Vic Fangio.
Okay. Well, if I've got Vic Fangio and I've got Jeff Stoutland looking for talent, like you say, no, he's my inside backer. Why wouldn't I, if I'm Howie, go, I'll do that again for you next year? He didn't have him.
Because I had to tell you, that's why, Howie. Because Vic Fangio, while he's going over a basket of chicken wings from the Palladium, is like, Howie, he's not a special teamer. You know what I'm saying?
I like it. So you believe they're going to change?
I believe they have changed. I mean, you pointed it out. I mean, that's a perfect example of Saquon Barkley. So I was listening to people talk about the Eagles have interest in Saquon Barkley, and I was laughing. I was like, that's adorable. That's really cool. That's just cute. They're just trying to drive up the price more for the Giants. That's a brilliant move by them. Brilliant move by them. And then when the announcement actually came, and I was staring at my phone, it was like the look on a face of a dog if they're doing something, and I know people back in the day would smack the dog on the nose with something, and the dog would just look confused. That's how I looked at my phone. That's how I looked at my phone when I saw that Saquon was there. I was like, no way. No way. And here he is, and it's the most dominant thing in the NFL.
Farzy, I grew up around the Giants organization. I used to put the cones at the Yale Bowl back in the day when my uncle was the general manager. And I got to tell you, man, if you're John Mara and you're watching this go on, now follow me here. So are you telling me that both New York teams could play a factor in the Eagles winning the Super Bowl by getting Becton and by getting Barkley and adding them to my team to show you how incompetent that both organizations are? Boy, I'll tell you one more time here, man. Saquon Barkley, if he started his career in Philadelphia, he'd be in Canton. I can't believe even you have to be shocked. You hang around that neck of the woods. You're from that neck of the woods. You see Penn State play. You knew he was a great player there. I don't care what anybody said, Mark. I never saw that guy in New York as the number 2 pick overall. He was never this guy. And what you're seeing right now, even Brian Westbrook was shocked yesterday. He goes, no, that guy, and plus the O-line, you're not getting touched 4 yards into the line of scrimmage. He goes, I wish I had that. I'd like to see what I could do with that, but you have to be shocked too.
I mean, I told you before, I always thought he was extremely talented. Watching him run, it's a weird thing to describe, but it's just different. Like he doesn't run, he glides with power and speed. And that's something I noticed at Penn State. And then I saw him with the Giants, and I was just like, if this guy, it was a classic situation of how many running backs did we talk? Barry Sanders. How many guys did we talk about? Like, get him an offensive line, and the history books will be rewritten. And here we are. And he's got that offensive. Again, I don't know any better way to describe it. There is nothing more potent in the NFL than Saquon Barkley running behind this offensive line. So, again, keep going to that well. And, yeah, if you're the Giants, sucks to be you.
Hey, if that guy wins the MVP and gets 2105, there's no way Joe Schoen's the GM of that team. Not with that bullshit Hard Knocks where he was lying to him. I mean, how about he had one of his assistants going, you don't really think anybody's really going to make a play for the guy because he does, he's fast. And you're sitting there. I must watch that thing three or four times, and I'm hearing her watching Joe Schoen, one of his assistants, go, nobody's going to offer him that kind of money. There's no way he'll come crawling back. And everyone, you're like, crawling back. You talk about crawling. You're going to be crawling to John Mara's office for your job in about a month, man. So
crawling is way to 2,200 yards.
Oh, God forbid. How about this? So I'm going to end with this one here. NFC title game, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Oh, I thought you were going to end there. I'm sorry.
Super Bowl or divisional round. How far do the Eagles go?
How about dynasty? No, all right. They go to the Super Bowl. They got an incredible defense.
Look at him. Did you see that face? What are you asking me such a stupid ass question? Are you kidding me, man? I'm going to be one of the guys that's going to be far away from one of those grease poles on Broad Street. We got the fucking parade. I've already got the outfit that I'm going to hang with Kelsey.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did have a little too much stank on that facial expression. And Miss Scoozy. But
I'm stupido now. Okay.
No, this defense is incredible. The run game. Look, here's the one thing that I always just thought was really stupid with Chip Kelly. Before this was the first thing that was like, oh, this guy might be an idiot. And it was the clock doesn't matter.
Oh my God.
In what world do you live in where time doesn't matter? The Eagles can control the clock with this incredible run game. They can get first downs next to at will with the tush push, if it's close. And they have a defense that can stop you. They have a defense that can not necessarily stop, but at least contain Derrick Henry in what was a much anticipated matchup, Saquon versus Henry and all that stuff. I just think this team is so stacked. When you and I were talking during some of the bad days at the beginning of the season, the few bad days there were, but when we were talking about that, I maintain the idea that this team is talented enough to make the playoffs. Like after the Browns win, I said, here's the thing. Before the game, I thought the Eagles were a team that was going to make the playoffs and be one and done. After the game, I thought that the Eagles were going to make the playoffs and be one and done. Now they've won 8 in a row. Now they beat a team like a healthy Rams team. They went and they beat the Ravens in Baltimore. They have control. They beat a Bengals team that some people are like, oh, this is a really good test. They beat the brakes off a banged up Cowboys team in a game where divisional games are supposed to be weird. You know what I mean? They weren't. Yeah. They have consistently risen to the occasion. Every challenge, whether generated by the media or any legit challenge in front of them, they have went out there and they have risen to the occasion and all but dominated each and every one of them. So people talk about a Super Bowl, like, hell yeah, Super Bowl. Hell yeah, parade on Broad Street. Hell yeah, grease up the polls. And who knows, maybe we'll be punching police horses again. I don't know. I don't know how crazy it's going to get, but it's going to get pretty crazy. But for me, I just think this is a dominant football team, and ultimately the talent on this football team is what will carry them.
Dan, you want to punch Mr. Ed in the head? Oh, yeah.
No, he looked at me weird. He looked at me sideways. All right.
Hey, he looked at me with one eye, and I thought he spit at me, so the horse deserved it. He got it in the eyeball. Hey, Farzy, great stuff, my brother. I appreciate it. Don't forget to catch the show each and every single Monday through Friday right here on JAKIB Sports. Thank you so much, Farzy.
Good to see you, my friend. Take it easy. Hey, if I don't see you before Christmas, Bon Natale.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Farzy. I appreciate it. Absolutely great. Bon note to you too, my friend. Hey, hit the like button. Don't forget our good friends, Big Sills here in BetUS. One thing is for sure here, man, we have teamed up with our great friends at BetUS. JAKIB Sports and all here are inviting you, like tonight's game, Detroit and Green Bay. What a great place for you to be able to try it out with the YouTube 150. That's right, YouTube 150, sign-up bonus up to $2K. Your second is $125. Your third is 125% of the $2,000 right there for you to sign up with your signing bonus. All you have to do is go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year, live wagering on all major games, fastest payouts in the business. BetUS.com. That's betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago, and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and actually 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. Other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an Audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.
This is pretty cool. Big Still, do me a favor, hit the like button. Thank you, Prince, for keeping an eyeball on it. So I just saw this on my X account. Michael Scorzero, he spent 60,489 minutes listening to podcasts this past year. I don't know if that's a good or bad number, but here were his top 5. National Football Show, Birds 365. Fantasy Footballers, Bleeding Green Nation, and Inside the Birds with the Philadelphia Eagles. And the 2 top spots there were JAKIB Sports. I can't thank you enough for that. That's pretty dope, dude. I just retweeted it. Very nice, man. I can't thank you enough. Hey, listen, we get 1,000 people doing shit like that. That's how the thing continues to grow. Michael, thank you for being part of that, man. Really cool. Right there, man. You got the National Football Show. You got Birds 365. You got Fantasy Footballers, Bleeding Green, and Inside the Birds. And you've got JAKIB 1 and 2 there. Thank you. Thank you, Bruce. No. Hey, man, I can't thank you guys enough. We can't do this without you. And hey, I got to tell you one more time, and I'm going to tell you for the last time, you stunads, okay? We rip one another. But this is like family to me. We did this shit in my family. This is how I grew up. This is how we talked growing up. This is how we talked in the locker room with Jerome Brown. You're in a locker room with me. Most people don't talk like this. Are you kidding me? A radio show? I've never done a show where I've been more me. Even on my radio show, which was highly successful. You know, it's funny. People go like this. Sileo bouncer. I was at DAE in Tampa for 15 years. I was in San Diego at Mighty 1090, home of Wolfman Jack, for 5 years. I've had 5 radio jobs. Everyone would make you think I had 50. I had 5 in 30 years. I've had 5 radio jobs. I haven't had a ton. It's not true. Okay? It's just not true. I think that's really cool. Thank you very much, Scott. Damn, I spend 4,800 minutes listening to Sills each month. I might need to get my head checked. Senor, I might need to get my head checked by bullshitting with you. You know what we're going to have to do? I listen to Sills so much, my girl is starting to sound like... All right, that's the fucking winner. Okay. Hey, have you guys ever heard of Ozfest? We may have to do a Sills Fest. A Sills Fest. Okay, you know, like Ozzy has Ozfest. We may have to have Sills Fest, where we just have a place where we all get together and we just drink beers until we're just stupid. And some of you, if you want to bring other recreational things, I'm not going to dismiss them because the NFL is going down that line now. Looks like marijuana is going to be cleared and free. for players to take pretty soon. If you want to bring that, not objecting to it. Have at it. Yeah. We'll have a Sills Fest. Hey, I'm awake or you. Before I move on, you want to hear the craziest and coolest story about Ozzy Osbourne? So I worked at a place at Premier Radio Network. You know, you guys ever heard of Fox Sports Radio, or you heard of Rush Limbaugh's show, or you've heard of whomever, Hannity, okay? That's the syndicator. I was hired. Me and Tony Bruno actually were hired by Premier Radio Network. It's the premier syndicator in the country. And I was hired to syndicate my show. I had my show on in 400 different markets at one time. I was the very first hire. Anyway, so there used to be a show, I'm Awake or You, called Rockline. And they syndicated it back in the day called Rockline. And all these famous people would come in. Elton John, Ray Manzarek, a whole litany of people would come in. My wife just had our kid, and I was hosting the night show at the time. And like I said, it was on 300 markets, and it was called Rockline. And Henry Rollins, how many people ever heard of Henry Rollins? Henry Rollins is a dear friend of mine. We became friends. I put him on my show a ton of times, and he's a great sports guy. He's a rocker, man. And Henry Rollins was the host of that. Okay? He goes, hey, I want to show you something. Listen, I'm going to bring your wife and your kid. My daughter Danielle must have been, this was like right after 9/11. My daughter must have been 10 months old. She's in a basket. We walk in. There's fucking Ozzy and his wife. My wife goes over to shake Ozzy's hand. We put the baby down. Ozzy goes, oh. He goes right down to my daughter, picks my daughter up, starts swinging her around, going, how you doing, little one? He was so fucking cool. His wife was cool. They sat my daughter in the middle of this as they were in the green room getting ready to go on with Henry Rollins. Ozzy was walking around, gave us tickets to his event that he had at the Hollywood Bowl. And it was one of the coolest things I ever saw, man. We went backstage. We got a chance to hang out with Ozzy. I saw Ozzy in college when I was at Maryland my freshman year before he played downtown, the old DC arena. I can't remember. Do you guys remember where the Caps played at that old arena downtown before he went down there and played? He played at College Park and he came in. I didn't meet him then, but Henry Rollins introduced me to him. And my daughter, that's like her first superstar she ever met. She met Ozzy. Ozzy picked her up, shook her hand. Hey, little one, how you doing? Really cool, man. I wish we had taken pictures of all that shit because they had so many great superstars that rolled through that. And Henry, this is a great friend of mine, man. I loved Henry Rollins. And you know, it's funny because all the people that were like working at the time, they didn't know about they didn't know who Henry was. And Henry sang a different style of music. But I dug him a lot, man. Loved him. Loved Henry Rollins. So that's something there for you. Anyway, please hit the like button. We appreciate you guys coming aboard. Thank you again. Dude, I've been to Ozfest. I love Ozzy's music. Yeah, hey, I'm Awake or You, man. I'm an Ozzy fan, man. I think he's one of the great voices of all time. We're going to do something today here. And get this, we're gonna move the sticks forward a little bit. And we're going to get out of 2024 for a second here. And you know what I'm going to start doing? Each week, we're going to start looking at positions of the draft. And I wrote some guys' names down here. Here we go. If I'm not mistaken, hey, Yale, Senor, Prince, any of you guys, do me a favor. By the way, at the end of the program, we'll talk about Packers and Lions. We'll get ready to that. Motorhead open for Ozzy, absolutely. Here are the Eagles' picks in 2025. They got the first pick, or the first rounder. They got a second that's theirs. It's going to determine where they finish in the draft or in the standings, obviously. They've got a third rounder that it has Miami, and it just depends who finishes higher. Philly or Miami, that third round pick will determine on what positioning and pick that's going to be in the third round. Fourth round, that's the Lions pick. They've got 3 5s. One is theirs, one's the Commanders, and one's the Texans. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They got 7 picks as of now. That's not counting compensation picks. That's not counting anything that they'll potentially get if they make a trade or do anything about that too. Okay. Yeah. Senor, the Reddick pick is not until next year or the year after. Now, because he didn't play a ton of plays this year, I think it's next year, if I'm not mistaken. Or, like you said, it could be. I have to go back and take a look at that. Okay. I thought it was 2026's draft that pick was going to be in. Okay. So I wrote this down for today. Edge, OT, tight end, and I wrote safeties. Here are some of the names that I want you to start watching as you get into the bowl games and also as you get into the combines and you start listening to people talking and positioning on where the Eagles go. Do we agree? Edge, OT, tight end, and safety. Sound right? You can put them in any order. I'm not putting them in any order. You know they're always going to go with an O-lineman. Okay? You know they're going to go with an O-lineman. Okay? All right. So let's start with edge. Do they have a shot at Abdul Carter from Penn State? No. You do not have a shot there. He's rated as the 5th pick in the draft. You're not getting him. He is the best edge guy that's out there. Unless you trade up from down 28th, 29, fortunate enough to be 32, you're not getting him. Okay? So you have to remember where you are in the draft. You're not getting Abdul Carter. He's the best edge rusher in the draft. Okay? You're not getting him. Number 2, Nick Sowerton, A&M. Are you getting him? No. He's rated as the 9th pick. Now, could some of these guys fall because of wide receivers, O-linemen? It's not as deep in the O-line this year, so these position guys aren't going to fall a lot like they did a year ago because, dude, like you guys got Trevor Keegan in the 5th pick last year, right? 5th round last year. That guy this year would go in the 2nd round. That's how deep it was a year ago. Okay? So this guy from A&M, outstanding ball player. You're not getting him. Now you're going to start getting into the area where you're going to start getting some of these people. Michael Williams, Georgia. He's rated as around the 24th, 27th, 6th, 28th best player in the draft. So he's going to be in that room. That's somebody you look at. Would you hesitate to get another Georgia guy? I wouldn't hesitate. I don't care. I'm not going to be a guy who's going to shy away from something like that because he went to Georgia and I have a ton of Georgia guys. And how he has shown he loves the Georgia guys. Shamar Stewart, also from A&M. Now, this guy's in the room for you, too. He's around the 26 rated high prospect. That's somebody that could be in the conversation. The kid Stewart, edge from A&M. A&M has 2 exceptional edge rushers. Okay? 2 exceptional edge rushers. Something to keep. And by the way, A&M, they don't win a lot of games, but they recruit great players. James Pierce has fallen. They got him at around 34, which is the top pick, the second to the top pick in the second round. I think he probably sneaks in the first round, but he's been productive at Tennessee for a long time. Tennessee's going to make the playoffs. So keep an eye on him. 2 years ago, this kid Pierce was rated as a top edge rusher. Now, he's not. There's been 4 other guys now that are rated ahead of him. Okay? So James Pierce is somebody that would be in your room. So remember, Michael Williams from Georgia, Shamar Stewart from A&M, James Pierce from Tennessee. Those are 3 guys to keep an eye on. Now, will there be others to jump up? Yes. But those are the 3 so far, those are the 3 guys that are starting at the top of the list. Most of the time, this stuff fluctuates and will go down. So remember, you got to think about replacing Brandon Graham here, and you've got to think about replacing Bryce Huff. You've got no production out of one of them. And the other guy, we're talking about, is he coming back? Is he not coming back? You got a 37-year-old guy coming off an injury too. How productive do you think he's going to be? Somebody goes like this. What, Barnett, Tennessee? Yeah, Reggie White went to Tennessee. Okay, I mean, sure, okay. Barnett went there? Yeah, well, Reggie White went there. I don't know. I'll take a shot again at it. Offensive lineman. Okay? Yeah, Barnett was a foul. So was Reggie. Will Campbell, will you get a shot at him, LSU? Absolutely not. He's a top 10 pick. You're not getting him. Kevin Banks, you're not getting him from Texas. He's top 12. Josh Simmons, Ohio State, probably not. 15 to 20. Wyatt Millum, West Virginia, probably in the room there. If they were going to draft somebody first round, the Eagles might look at this kid from West Virginia. Again, Michael Williams, edge. Stewart. Again, what you're doing right now is, this is what we did with Edgerrin Cooper last year. This is what we did with Peyton Wilson, the kid from NC State. This is what we did with Chop Robinson. This is what we did with Cameron Kitchens. These were guys that we were talking about selecting in the draft. And by the way, all of them are having great rookie years this year. So these are guys that we were liking. By the way, the one thing that we've been 1,000% on has been, I told you, if you drafted Bijan Robinson in the top 9 picks, you can't go wrong. And he's one of the premier players in the league right now. Okay, Carter, I didn't have a problem with. I told you he was going to be the next Jerome Brown, and he's looking like that kind of player. Okay, I told you if you drafted Marvin Harrison. By the way, you want to hear something else? I wouldn't have had a problem if the Eagles had taken Brock Bowers at 22 or moved up to get him. Do you want to hear something about Brock Bowers? We love Brock Bowers. Remember we said I love the Eagles to get him? Let me say this to you here, man. Brock Bowers has 84 catches and 900 or like 890 yards receiving. Do you know he has more catches than any receiver in football? He's a rookie, and he's a tight end. He has the most catches of any player in the game right now. And he doesn't even have a fucking quarterback. I mean, Aiden O'Connell and Gus Grissom, that guy is fucking amazing. He is a special stud. Dude, you could say all you want about Jaden Daniels or Bo Nix. I think the offensive rookie of the year should be Brock Bowers from the Raiders. He's going to break Ditka's record for yards, and he's going to have 100 catches. How do you not give that to him? So we have Keegan Steen, maybe D-line first. I doubt. But edge, you're saying, okay. I think we should get a good wide receiver in this draft. Second, third round, I'm all right with that. Okay? I'm all right with that. So, offensive line, the Eagles are always going to make that a premium. Tight end. Do we agree? They need a tight end. The kid from Penn State is probably going to be in your room. Taylor Warren. He's ranked as the 31st best player right now in the draft. And that'll fluctuate. We're really early in the process. We're here in December, January, February, March, April. We're 5 months out from the draft. Boy, I didn't think it was that close. We're 5 months out from the draft. I knew Bowers was going to be the biggest pass catch pickup in the draft, especially going against those linebackers. Dirty D, he is unbelievable. I think he's the best tight end in football right now. I think Brock Bowers is the best tight end in the league right now as a rookie. I don't think there's anybody better. I don't think Kelsey's better. I don't think Andrews is better. I don't think Kittle's better. I think this guy's the best right now. Colston Loveland from Michigan. You could also maybe make a play that he could be there around between 25 and 28. Laporta, probably him and Laporta. Fly, probably him and Laporta. And the kid from Texas, you probably could pick up in the second round. Do you have a second rounder? You have a second rounder. You might pick him up, Gunnar Helm from Texas. He's pretty good. That would maybe be a second round pick for you, where you could pick him up here. You know what you do? You pick this guy, Gunnar Helm, up in the second, and he's rated the 55th best player. You turn around and you look at those edge guys, and you take James Pierce. Or you trade out of, depending, if I'm the Eagles and I'm 28 to 32 and I don't love my guy, I'm trading out of that. I don't really think this is a deep draft this year. I'm trading out of that. And I'm going to get down, and depending on how many compensation picks I get, I'm going to trade out of that and jump in the second round and see how many seconds and second rounders I can get. It's financially cheaper for me. I can retool my defense. If I took that first rounder and moved out of it, I could maybe get a collection of seconds and thirds for that first round pick, depending on who's wanting that pick to move up. Somebody's going to need a quarterback. Okay? Somebody's going to need wide receivers. So I would move out of that. If I don't, when I'm down there at 32, 28, 29, 31, somewhere in there, like the Nolan Smith pick, the reason I never really liked that pick, one, I thought he was a project. And secondly, I thought you could have moved out of that and tooled your team up more on defense with more depth by trading out of that 30th pick. And by the way, that's a great take. Forrest Hill right here. The reason why I went edge and I went O-line, what are you going to do there? It's a great comment. Way to think it, Forrest. Way to go. That's exactly right. Does Howie sign Sweat? Does Howie sign Becton? Does Howie bring Milton back? And do they do Bond? Well, if I do all that, it affects what you're going to do in the draft. What am I signing Sweat to? 3-year contract? Okay. Do I still go edge? Well, you got to replace. I think they're going to walk away from Huff. Try to get out of that. You know how? Hey, do you know how you get out of the Huff deal? Xander said this. There's like massive cap hits. You know how you get out of it? Draft a rookie. He's on a rookie contract making $1 million. And he's doing that for the next 4 years. That's how you get out of that Bryce Huff deal. You don't sign another veteran on the free agent market and give him more veteran money where you have to pay him $10 million. You sign a rookie. So if I move off a Sweat, or not Sweat, if I move off a Huff, I'm going to have to eat a lot of money. Okay, if I sign a rookie, though, you kind of offset it. Well, I'm paying the rookie $1.5 million a year, and I got to eat some of that salary cap, which I can defer out. And I can move off that, plus got a roster spot for a player that's going to contribute. So everything Forrest just said there, that's exactly right. Okay. I also have safety on here. I'll get to the let me go to the safeties now. How much of a need do you think you have at safety? Are you happy with Reed? And I heard Xander say this. I don't know if Xander's still listening here. So are you keeping Cooper DeJean at slot safety or slot corner? Or are you moving him to corner and having him on the other side of Quinyon Mitchell? What are you doing with him? Are you going to move him out there on the numbers? Are you going to gamble that he can play that position? Or, especially if you win the Super Bowl, are you really going to move that guy and not keep him in a position like Brian Dawkins? Are you going to move him when the guy's excelling? Or are you leaving him inside and leaving him there? Or do you slide him to the safety position and get off that Gardner Johnson deal and line him up next to Reed? Reed's not making a ton of money. Gardner Johnson is. Get Gardner Johnson and that $8 million off my neck. Gardner Johnson's not an $8 million a year player. I want out of him. Well, he's really a great teammate. Okay, that's great, but he's not an $8 million player. That guy is not worth $8 million. Okay? So if I can move Cooper over, does that mean you go over, or do you leave him there? Who's playing this? Who's going to play? I don't think Gardner Johnson brings the energy. I think it's Cooper DeJean that brings the energy. Who's replacing Slay? Who's replacing Slay? I think he's picked his game up. I think he's playing better ball. Keely Ringo, I have no faith in. Rodgers? Okay. You're going to put Keely Ringo out there next year at corner. Rodgers and Keely Ringo. For Darius Slay, I'd rather keep Slay. I'd rather keep Slay. Okay. They signed Ringo wasn't drafted, right? He was a free agent. Is that right? Or was he drafted? I forget. Just what happened with Bradbury. They're going to wait to the end of the year because his contract ends at the end of the year. So they don't have the salary cap hit of $4 million if they cut him. It was more important, get this, to show you what kind of business people the Eagles are. They thought it was in their best interest to pay him $11 million than to have the cap hit of $4 million. Ringo's a third rounder. Well, he's got to play then. Seals, if they win a chip, do you think Jalen would take a pay cut to keep winning? Like Brady did? To keep the team together? Mahomes does that. You know, Mahomes is the 13th highest. I think Mahomes, if I'm not mistaken, I think Mahomes is the 13th highest paid quarterback. Highest paid quarterbacks, QBs, NFL 2024. If I'm not mistaken, here they go right here. Prescott makes the most at 60, Lawrence and Burrow at 55. Get this. Jordan Love makes 55. Tua makes 53. Golf makes 53. Justin Herbert makes 52.5. Lamar makes 52. Jalen Hurts makes 51. Kyler Murray makes 46. So to your point, Mahomes is not even in the top 12 highest paid players in the game. And he takes a pay cut. I mean, he's got a ton of money guaranteed. He signed that contract years ago, but he's not even in the top 12 highest paid quarterbacks in pro football. Okay? Right, Philly, they've basically almost fully guaranteed that $500 million that he signed a few years back. And he's restructured it a bunch of times. So the only way that I would take a pay cut is if you did this. And I don't mean a pay cut. You mean a salary so that the cap would be more friendlier. Yeah, what you do is you give the guy more guaranteed cash. You want to lower my base? Give me more guarantee. You give me more guarantee? Sure. I'll make a dollar bill if you want, if you're going to guarantee my number. Player, dude, I'd rather have the money in the bank than promised to me. Nobody wants promised money. Hey, I promise to pay you. Fuck that. I want you to put it in my account now. Says, does Alabama deserve a spot over Miami? Yes. Play in a better conference, play a better schedule. Miami being in the it's not a Miami thing. They're in the ACC. Wake Forest, Duke, fucking shitty programs like that. I'm sorry, man. The conference kills Miami. The conference kills Clemson. The conference kills SMU. The conference kills FSU. It kills everybody. They play in a shitty conference. I mean, Southeastern Conference versus the ACC. It's JV versus varsity. I mean, you don't have one redeeming. Who is the redeeming programs in the ACC right now? Is SMU really great? I don't know. What would SMU do in the SEC? 8 wins? What would Miami do in the SEC? 9? I mean, Alabama were in the ACC. They'd never lose a game. The Atlantic Coast Conference is a hoop school conference. It's not a football conference. And it's a good baseball conference. Why do you think Clemson and FSU want to get the hell out of that thing? And they want to go to the ACC or the Big Ten? Why do you think Notre Dame wants to play in the ACC? Because it's easier programs with higher volume and visible names like Duke, Clemson, Miami, FSU. They would never go to the Big Ten. You think Notre Dame would go to the Big Ten? Do you know why Notre Dame doesn't go to a major conference? It's one thing to say Notre Dame was the 16th best team in the country. It's another thing to do this. Well, they're the 5th best team in the Big Ten. They don't want that distinction. They want you to think that they're the 16th best team in the country, when theoretically, if they were in the ACC, in the Southeastern Conference, they'd be like the 7th best team in the conference. You don't sell that. Hey, you're the 7th. Does anybody know right now who the 7th best team in the SEC is? That's why Notre Dame doesn't join a conference. Plus, NBC gives them that boatload of money in what they do. All right. Big Steel's got to do this for you, folks. Don't forget, when we come back out of the timeout, too, we'll talk about Detroit versus Green Bay. Our friends at BetUS here, man. Make sure you team up with them as you get ready for tonight's contest. Our YouTube 150 sign-up bonus is up to $2K. God, this is one of the best programs that you can get involved. We're so proud to be involved with these guys. Also, 200% in crypto with that signing bonus up to $2K. Go to betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. Fastest payouts in the business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days of the year. Live wagering on all major games. betus.com.pa. That's betus.com.pa. And do me a favor, tell them Big Sil sent you.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago, and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and actually 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. Other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an Audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Big Sales National Football Show. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. All right, who do you have tonight? Green Bay versus the Detroit Lions. What a game tonight, man. Has to be one of the best games tonight on Thursday night in a long time. It's in the Dome. It's in the Dome tonight. Let me see what you guys are saying first. See what Xander says here. Unfortunately, I have the Lions. Packers by 9. Lions win, says M. Reyes. Green Bay doesn't have the toughness. I don't know about that. I think. Let me take a look at this defense. Where's Green Bay? In total defense. Packers are 12th. Rush defense. Packers are 17th. I think Xander's right. I think this comes down to the fact that Detroit will run the ball tonight. I don't think you're going to have to really throw the ball. And let's see what they do in pass defense. Depending on what this number is, pass defense. Packers are 17th in pass defense. And they're 12th against the run. Shit, man, the Lions are good all over the place here. Lions right now, total defense, the Lions are 10th. Pass defense, this is where the Lions aren't great, so Green Bay might be able to move the ball here. They're 25th. However, you know, when it comes to scoring, the Lions are number one in scoring defense. I'm going to go Lions tonight, 28-21. I'll pick those dudes tonight. 28. But by the way, both running backs for the Lions are exceptional. Plus the tight end's great. I don't really think Green Bay's that super on the defensive side. What do you got? Maniac's got the Packers tonight. All right. Should be a great one. Football Friday tomorrow. Give you our predictions. Not really much of a prediction for Sunday's ball game, but interesting stuff for that game, obviously, against Carolina. We'll take a look also at the NFC East and the NFC period and where teams are starting to line up now and who's going to get home field advantage. Have a great game tonight. I got the Lions again, like I said, 28-21. I'll take Detroit. It's a NFC North game. We appreciate it. Big Z, Big Joe, we thank you very much. 2 to 6 Eastern tomorrow. We'll see you on the flip side.